It appears we are live. What's up, everybody? It's G Mr. Drew here to welcome you to another episode of the Andrew Glowczewski experience. I think we're all green, all green lights. Think we're all good. Just double checking everything. Yeah, everything looks good. So what's up, everybody? Um, Want to welcome you to episode 113. 113. Wow. And yeah, I wanted to switch it up because I've been thinking about environments and, just tackling more of this world, this particular map. I'm thinking about how satisfied I am with the characters that I've been working on and creating for this map. Um, how happy I am. And yeah, I got a couple. It's funny. So what we got that character as well as this one. You may recognize I've been working on this one lately. And yeah, I'm I feel like I'm flying high right now as far as like creating all these designs and this work and things. Like I'm very happy with how much I've been streaming and how much uh, positive I don't know, reviews you want to say or whatever, all the kind words and everything. But either way, um, yeah, I wanted to work on an environment for this stream. Hey, what's up, kitten? Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, this is a map I made, I don't know, maybe a week or two ago. And yeah, I'm currently working on environments, as the title of this video goes, just working on concepts for this environment. So the way it worked is I created a world map and a bunch of thumbnails, and then I dropped thumbnails of environments, and I dropped those thumbnails on top of the world map. And since then, I've uh, I've gone ahead and started, like, I actually drew out the map, and instead of having thumbnails, I actually like drew the map to make it look like how it looks here. And now all these locations actually represent the place. And now I go in and I do environment artwork depending on wherever we're at on the map. So like this environment is reticent of what's happening inside here. And I have another one that I want to do of this area. And that's what I'm going to be working on today, man. I had an idea. It's been sitting in my head. And, it didn't hit me until just now of like, oh, this is what you want to do. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, thank you for joining me. I believe this is our first time talking. So this may be your first time watching me. But yeah, so I'm just gonna jump in and work on this environment. I pulled up some references. I just got done collecting them, and cause yeah, it's kind of hard to just draw these things willy nilly. So I'll pull up a reference from time to time, and this time I actually have like 7 references. One of them being an old sketch of the character, because basically what I'm working on is like it's almost like a giant character, but really it's like a location. Kind of think of it as I don't know if you're familiar with Mother Mold, the X-Men, the Sentinels that the X-Men are always fighting. There's a character called Mother Mold who is the constructor, the builder of the Sentinels, at least in the beginning. And Mother Mold, like, had an AI installed in order to make Sentinels, and then the AI went crazy and just started making Sentinels for itself rather than for like the humans or the government or something like that. And yeah, I'm trying to do a lot with this sketch. So I have a ton of references pulled up and I have no idea how I'm gonna execute it. uh, but essentially it's just like I want to build something that looks like a pit stop in an assembly line, and have this giant monster machine looking thing uh, look like it's working on building some stuff. So it's like I gotta have the platform, I gotta have the giant machine, and then I have to have the surrounding environment around it. And yeah, it's a lot. So, but I should be able to do it. Wish me luck. Should be able to do it. Zoom in some more. I don't know if I could zoom in anymore because I have my armature already pretty low. Like this is me zoomed in. Usually I'm working a little further back because I'm working on, sometimes bigger things like this map. But yeah, I don't know if I actually can zoom in anymore. Let me at least give an effort to do it. But the way that this armature is set up, if I come in any closer, I'll start knocking it with my arm, like a lot more frequently. And let me get this sharp, focus back. Yeah, I maybe moved it up like a centimeter. uh, but either way, I usually while I'm streaming, I put on like either like YouTube stuff or YouTube videos that I'm already bumping the camera every time I move my hand in. Um, and yeah, I just discovered this new channel the other day on stream, and how do I want to do this? Oh yeah, that's super creepy. Gotta make this monster look a little creepy-ish. And so I discovered this channel recently on YouTube, and they had like this 5-part series breaking down Final Fantasy VIII and the story behind it. And because I was so young when it came out, it's like, man, I have no idea what Final Fantasy VIII is about, really. Like, it's just like I remember the name Squall and the gun swords and stuff like that, but that's about it. And so yeah, I started watching that. I've been watching it for like 2 days now, and I finally got to the last video. I'm about halfway through the last video, and these guys are just recapping all their stories or all their opinions and things about that, about the series. So I'm gonna put that back on while I draw. I don't know if the audio is gonna be loud enough to hear.
And then it's not good enough if he just hugs her because it devalues what then comes later, and it kind of it's not where he's at, and then.
Oh yeah, and they're talking about it's a channel called Resonant Arc. I want to give them credit at least if I'm gonna be playing their stuff on YouTube. They're called Resonant Arc, and yeah, it seems like they just break down video games. Again, this is the first time I'm learning about them and their series and things like that. So I really don't know too much else about their other works, but I mean, this series was obviously really good. But yeah, so they already broke down the entire game. Now they're just giving their opinions on things, and right now they're talking about a specific part in the game where they thought it was originally awkward, but then they discovered like, oh no, it's not awkward. Um, that's what I need to do. That's what it is. Fuck yeah. So I'm figuring this out. All right. Um, so they thought it was awkward where, this girl was like, "Oh, give me a hug." And he was like, "Nah." but now they're like discovering how it makes sense. So that's what they're in the middle of talking about. So when I, hit play, you're gonna like hear just something random, but that's what they're talking about.
She has to ask for it. Anyways, there's so many things that come together, and I kept trying to think, oh, what if this was different? And basically, my conclusion is the way it was done is the way it needed to be.
Yeah.
And that's hard, and a lot of people out there who think like I do or did,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who don't like Fantasy because of Squall and Rose relationship.
Sure.
You do have to be patient with Squall, and that is just a fact. He is not easily manipulated or motivated or anything. He needs to do things on his own time, and that does require patience on Renault's part and on your part, the gameplay. But the payoff does come. But my issue, I guess, I just got soured when he wouldn't hug us. Who wouldn't do that?
Right. And
that's just me.
That's the divisive element of Squall is
yes, very
those
divisive.
who are like him
Yeah.
get it. And those
Right.
who are not can't understand the
It was hard.
coldness. It's hard to
Yeah.
understand or like him.
Yeah.
I get it, I guess, just intuitively. And so
So the writers may have, I wouldn't even say they made a mistake. They just made a choice
Yeah.
to write a character that half of all people will not understand ever,
yes.
forever, unless they
Which
really
is
like I
why
did, unless
they
they
made
really died in the
Laguna.
analysis.
Why Laguna exists
But then
in the
they
story.
took out Laguna for the most.
You're right. That's beautifully
Anyways.
said.
Okay,
Well
so
done.
I just want to throw that out there now. I have come around on my thinking to what Mike was saying, and I was probably a little bit too overly critical. I still think the lunar cry didn't need to be a laser. It could have just been a drop, right? Like
Yeah.
that makes sense. A tear. It could have just been a drop
Yeah.
of monsters
And it could
that
have been-
splashes on the surface.
And there was someone who brought
That
up
still
there was
carries
somebody
the
who
bell
brought
down.
up something that I thought was an interesting
I saw the
thought.
comment, like 10 or
12
12 monsters,
like bosses.
big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Like almost like weapons from Final Fantasy VII or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
If it was that instead of billions of
Billions.
monsters, it might
I feel like they just
be
let
more
the stakes
renderable.
too
Turn it
low.
down a little
Be
bit.
more renderable on the world map. You can
Yeah.
visually show the impact these things are
Because
having.
you might be saying, oh, why try to minimize what was an otherwise really cool scene? But it's like you've got to deliver. You can't just promise and not deliver. You have to make your delivery live up to the promise. And the promise can't be too big if you aren't capable of delivering that. You just shouldn't do that. And to some extent, I felt that with Squall too. I was like, they promised a character development in him. Where is it? He won't hug her. I didn't get that. But he can't. Anyways, I just can't emphasize that enough. As much as I tried to think my way around it, he could not have done it at that moment because even if he did break down and hug her, or if his character was fully developed now and he was no longer like that, then the line that you mentioned in the last podcast, where she predicts when he's going to say whatever,
Yeah.
his whatever saying would be done. He wouldn't be saying that to her if his character development arc was full,
Yeah.
and you would have missed that moment
Yeah.
as well of her still understanding how he's thinking and he's still holding back from her. He's still doesn't want to tell her. So you would have missed all that if we decided to do things like that. So and it would have just changed too many things that would have made it slightly less impactful. So I wanted to throw that in there because I feel like that is a moment, a hinge moment in the game that a lot of people do or don't like. Disc 3 just in general. And that is there is tremendous value to be seen there if you're not seeing it.
What's awesome about this is that you, who were the critic of the scene before, just defended it about 1,000,000 times better than I did as the advocate for the scene last
I
time.
had a month to think about it though. You were trying to think on your toes. I had a month to think about this, you know.
All right, so, oh yeah, getting back to greatest strength.
Oh, yes.
Greatest strength.
Characters and character development.
Character development.
Master.
What do you think is the greatest weakness in this?
Greatest weakness, that's a good question. I would just say in some ways the like unfinished problems, unfinished exposition, over promising in certain ways and under delivering it. They did not do that in character, which is why it's so good. But they did do that in so many other elements of this game. The promises were up there, and the delivery was not. And so,
So for me, I would say similarly, my favorite aspect of the part that I thought was the strongest was character dynamic. Like
yeah,
the way these characters
interact with each
played
other.
with each other. The character play within scenes.
Mhm.
Laguna and Ward and Kiros, or
Yes.
Squall and Zell and Sophie, like any combination, there was just great stuff happening,
Yeah.
funny, sad,
Yep.
romantic, urgent. It was just like, I was always engaged with the characters.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
And
I feel like I knew them really well.
Yeah, the way that they play
Oh,
off
how did I draw that?
made for really dynamic presentation. So I really, really love that. I think its greatest weakness is that it hides
Oh, sorry, I'll fix the
almost
focus in
all
a
of its things
second.
around the plot instead of inside it. It's too vague, and it relies
There we
on
go.
you searching the info section in the menu.
Okay.
It relies on finding
Okay.
the open menu book. It relies
All
on
right.
talking to
We still
every
focused?
NPC
Yeah.
multiple times,
Yes, yeah.
trying like
Through each
find-
disc, yeah.
to find all the answers. Now, some people will consider that a strength. I admit, this is just my own feeling, it's just my own kind of subjective feeling on style, right? Some people like it because you can play the game again and again and again and find new tidbits that open up your understanding of the book. This is what we played it most time. This is like my fifth playthrough of it.
We could probably do another whole podcast series about Final Fantasy VIII again, and it'll be
discover
just
all
as
kinds
long.
of new things
Yeah.
the next time that we did this one. And that is a very valid reason for people to appreciate doing it this way.
Yeah.
I just find it frustrating because I think that most people aren't going to do that. Most people are not going to play the game twice or three times or four
Yeah.
times. They're gonna play it once, and they're gonna come up with their opinion on their first impression of it. And if it's not good, they won't have a reason to play it again, right? They'll dismiss it. They're not finding the great meat that is there.
This is a
Because
very
it's
big game.
hidden too well.
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of their audience gets lost with it
Yeah.
over their head. Even the people who love it, which is most of the audience watching this podcast,
Yeah.
they're saying, I never knew that. I had no idea.
That's what I'm
This gave me
saying.
my whole perspective."
These guys
Like,
deep dove into that game. I didn't really understand half of what they was talking about.
these things that
But it's super interesting.
So many people.
I'll probably end up watching like a playthrough of the game.
That's the whole point.
I think
Some point. I don't know.
what the next game ends up being to be analyzed. If it ends up being Mass Effect, it will be interesting to look at how it uses its codec for world building
Yeah.
versus how Final Fantasy VIII used its info menu,
Yeah.
or how maybe Final Fantasy 13 uses its anyways, the journal entries that like basically the whole story is like in those instead of like in
Yeah.
the cutscenes. But I just feel like the story, and what I think solidifies my feeling on this is that there's so many people in the comments section who are saying, "Holy cow, this has really changed my
Yeah,
perspective
like,
on Final
I
Fantasy
had
VIII.
no idea.
I
Mhm.
appreciate so much more after this
Yeah.
podcast.
We're getting
Because
close.
so many, I mean so many people miss these videos. It's just, if they had hidden those hints in the cutscenes and in the
Yeah.
plot, instead of around it with NPC optional dialogue, or in the info menu in the tutorial section. I feel like.
I know this is all looking like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Like I said, it's going to be a difficult sketch to kind of put together. That's why I've been avoiding it. But since I got the idea, and I got my references,
More widely sort of accepted. I'm not saying it fixes all of its problems by any means, because it doesn't. But it solves a big one, which is most people just didn't understand what was going on. They didn't understand. They felt like the payoffs were not set up, and that they came out of nowhere. And if they had just been set up better, I think the game would have been more well received.
Yeah.
So that's my greatest strength and weakness. So, for this last section, as we wrap up our podcast here in FFA, we're going to move into responding to a few comments. Now, before we do that, there have been a lot of people who have requested that we speak on some of your fan theories, like Squall is
So
dead.
we brought that up in episode 1.
So I ended up cutting that
Oh,
out
that's right.
of the version that went on the main channel. And I did that because I agreed there was some criticism about how I went about talking about it. And I agreed that I was just probably too dismissive, right? I'm gonna explain explain why I am that way about fan theories in a minute, but if I'm going to be that way, I might as well not talk about it, is probably the truth,
Fair enough.
right? If we're not gonna give it like a really thorough sort of like look,
Yeah.
then we might as well not look at it. Sure. If we're just gonna sit there and make fun of the thing, we might as well not talk about it.
I think you're right.
So,
At the same time, though, we're here to analyze the game. The fan theories are peripheral. I mean,
that's why.
they're there, but they're not integral to the game necessarily.
Yes. So,
Right.
here's the thing. Here's just the honest truth. I am not saying that anybody out there who enjoys theory crafting and fan theories, that you should feel bad about that, the fact that you enjoy it or you get into it. There's a channel we used to watch a lot. I still watch it a lot, from time to time. Final Fantasy Peasant.
Yeah.
Oh, the Final Fantasy
He
Peasant.
does a lot of it. He does a lot.
He does theory crafting.
It's the reading between the lines.
And he's really good at it. Like, I would say, like, of all of the FF community people, like, I enjoy watching his videos, despite the fact that I don't even enjoy theory crafting. Because I think he comes up with better explanations sometimes
Yeah.
than the actual, like, writers of the story do. In particular with Final Fantasy 15.
With 15 specifically, he had some really
He had
good
some cool ideas
Yeah.
and what he thought maybe they would do in DLC.
Mhm.
But here's
Or what he thought was cut from the game. There's
Yeah.
some theories about that too.
here's my core problem with with just theory crafting in general. I watched the disappointment in his community when the DLCs came out or further explanation came out, and the explanation was so much less like satisfying than what they had come up with.
Hmm.
And they were like, oh
Well-
my gosh, like this is not as cool as what we
Yeah.
had thought of, right? I don't like to theory craft because Square Enix and a lot of people making movies or TV shows or whatever that open a lot of mysteries and making, they tend to want to subvert expectations. And
Yes.
they are watching what you're talking about. And I think they very mistakenly make this, they see that you came to that conclusion, and maybe there were great hints or setups to that being the case, but if too many people start getting on board with that, they can't surprise you anymore by going that
yes.
direction. So they feel like
Yes.
they have to try to do a different
Hmm,
thing in
that's a
order to
mistake.
surprise the audience, because that's more important to them.
If the audience guesses what you're doing before you do it,
Satisfying resolution to this mystery. I think that this was true of Lost.
too bad, so sad, right?
And I think it's
Get 'em
true
next
of
time.
A lot of what we see in the Kitase-led Final Fantasy projects. There's a lot of mystery box type storytelling, vague on purpose. I believe it was Tetsuya Nomura who said it's on the DVD bonus features of the Japanese Advent Children.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about, and I don't have the quote in front of me, but basically like, we're not trying to do like the Hollywood thing where they give you all the answers. And he alludes to the fact that they want the fans to talk about
They
it.
want communities on forums
Yes.
to ask questions and to dig.
They are
Yes.
incentivizing
Yeah.
theory crafting. But then as soon as you come up with your cool theory, they're going to try to subvert it
Yes.
to surprise you. And I think that it
Well,
inherently leads to people being disappointed in the next part.
Right.
In the real explanation. Right?
Because it's usually
How
not.
much energy goes into someone creating a Swallow's Dead theory that had to be squashed when Kitase says that was never in our minds and that's not the intention of totally wrong. That's a bad feeling. You're setting yourself up for being disappointed by putting that much energy into a really cool theory. So this is the major reason why I don't
Go.
like to get into theory crafting myself or into reading other fan fiction or fan theories. Because most of them are probably, I would say 99% of them are wrong. And even if there is one or two out there that is really cool, I actually legitimately like the one you came up with about time compression. I think that makes the story better, right?
Yeah.
So I can see why people cling to them. It's like, this makes the story better for me. I'm going to accept this as my headcanon.
All right.
That's fine. I'm not telling you you're wrong for doing it. I'm just saying I don't like doing it.
Right.
Long way of saying,
We aren't gonna be talking.
we're not going to talk about it. Because I don't want to be dismissive.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Don't wanna make fun.
rain on anyone's parade.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just like, basically just be a downer on it, when this is a way for a lot of people who legitimately enjoy the game.
Yeah.
But I personally do not find either of those theories to make the game better for me.
Right.
If Renoa is Ultimecia, I feel the game is made worse for me. If Squall is dead, I think the story is made worse for me. That's my feeling on it. If there is, I mean, a huge ask and demand in the comments of this video for us to talk about
In
it,
a separate video.
we will consider doing one extra bonus episode strictly on the characters.
And whether.
I am
Just
warning
kidding.
you, no, I'm warning you that that's going to be the conclusion we come to. Because I'm not convinced of it. I don't think that they make the story better. I don't think that they were intended. I know for a fact they weren't because Picasso said they weren't. I don't, I don't even think that they make the story,
There we go.
they don't fix the story problem. Can that be an okay answer for that? Can you guys accept that? Like, I apologize, but like, that's just not what I'm about. Go to Peasant. Peasant will give you all of that, and he's way better at it than I can. He's way better at it than I can. Go to him. Go to people who like theory crafting, whoever else. But I'm sorry that I can't be the theory crafting guy. I just can't. That's not who I am.
All
You
right.
guys say something about
No
that?
more. No more need to be
Okay.
said.
All
Let's
right.
move on.
All right, so I'm gonna read some comments here. There's been some good stuff over the course of these videos. This first one comes from Levi Whitley, looks like. All right. Says, a lot of your criticisms of the story deal with the characters making bad choices or acting childish. I think the choices in dialogue are pretty realistic, given the characters' ages, and also the target audience. Sure, it's a fantasy setting where mercenaries are trained in a school in their early teens, but I like that they still have certain immaturities because they are still adolescents. Why not make them all age 30 if you want them to have good plans for adult motivation? So I feel like we kind of answered this, but maybe we weren't clear enough. So we've given the caveat many times, these are kids.
Yes.
So they're gonna be immature.
One of the things that I remember from early on is it felt like a kid wrote the
Yeah.
script, the story for this game.
Right.
Not so much just that they're acting like kids, but that it felt like the story was written by children at times, not the whole thing.
I
Like,
thought it all the way through.
yes, just like, oh, this would be interesting, let's throw this in. That's not always the case, but there are certain points where I think we did make that
Yeah. So,
observation.
but there's still, like, the one place that I can think of where I just really can't meet you in the middle on this
Mhm.
is the battle against Galbadia Garden. Because, like, I think we tried to make this point with, like, the soldiers who fought on the beach, and
Yeah, they were like 18, 19.
those were young kids.
Yeah, some kids were 17, they lied about their age in order to get drafted.
Yeah, we're not,
Yeah.
we cannot pretend that seeing a person get ripped apart by a fetching grenade or something is going to lead to you having a flirty romantic sequence 30 feet over here.
Yeah,
It's just
the
not
romanticization
going
of
to
war.
happen.
Yeah.
Like, that scene where Squall and Renoa run past all those people dying in the fight, and then they sit there and they have like a 5-minute flirty conversation where she's like, that's,
Yeah.
I don't care what age you are. I don't care
Yeah.
if you're 30 or 5 or, it does not matter. That has an effect on people.
Right.
Seeing that, your friends, people that
Well,
you know,
When a
dying.
bomb goes off near you, not only do you feel the shockwave, it can like cause your hearing to go out. Like
Yeah.
it's so shocking. It's a bigger deal than
It's
you know,
not, even just an emotionally immature person is not going to just be unaffected
Yes.
by
bombs.
up close
and death,
carnage
Yeah.
of that kind.
blood.
I cannot excuse the temperament of Zell and Renoa and Irvine in that scene. It's just not right. It's just not how I'm not convinced, or I do not believe that even a child would act that way
They
in that moment.
they would handle it worse than
Yes.
someone. They would
They would
be
be
less.
traumatized more.
Exactly. They would be more likely to just go hide under a rock until it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I can't back off on that. Now, if we're talking
there
about,
may be some fair criticism.
if we're talking about, the way that the forest owls plop on the floor to do their plans, sure. I think that that's beneficial to the story because Squall calls them out for that, right? Like, yeah, these are kids trying to lead the resistance movement. That's not how you would expect it to go.
Yes.
So, like, it's totally fine there. I just really hated it in the Balbadia versus Baron Garden scene.
Yeah.
I just feel like it really did it.
Fair enough.
All right, this one comes from Nathan Kim. At first, I was like, ain't no way in hell I'm gonna listen to hours of FF8 podcast. I need to listen to part 4. You guys did an excellent job. I don't know why I copied that over. As much as maybe to say,
Thank you.
I'm really glad that people have enjoyed this format.
We enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. I don't know if you can tell. I hope you can tell. From our
Yeah.
conversation.
Final Fantasy VIII never got enough attention, and me growing up with it, I was always like, yo, like, what's up with that? It's all about,
And I want to thank all of you guys
well,
for
there's a
watching
few
this
other
whole
ones.
thing, because you convinced me that it's strong enough to be brought to the main channel, to be featured more, and for us to do it with a lot more games moving forward.
Because even though, like, you do make your analysis videos and they're good, they're deep, they're shorter, they're limited in scope. I mean, we're talking, what is this? This is gonna be like 12 hours
Yeah.
of Final Fantasy VIII analysis, pure analysis every minute. And that is, like, who would have known that there was anything like that, let alone, all you guys that are watching.
So this one comes from Locania or Locania. I'm not sure when you're going to talk about the lore of Hein in this series, but I wanted to pose a theory about him and the Sorceress lineage that I posed to Laura way back. So I want to say that I read your theory. I'm not going to bring it up because it's like several paragraphs here. I kind of already addressed my feelings about fan theories, but I do think that we need to take a second to talk about the
Because
lore of
Hein
Hein.
is a historical figure within the actual
Yeah,
game.
so I was a little confused at first why so many people were asking us to talk about Hein. There was a lot of requests to talk about Hein. And I think it's because they want us to theory craft about Hein.
Oh, geez.
Because there's not really that much.
Other
in
than,
the
this
game
was like the early first sorceress that
Right.
selected women
The
to
first,
pass on
the
power.
first time they mention Hein is, again, optional, of course. It's in the house next door to Zell's house, but you have to do it before you do the Dalit mission.
Oh,
You
really?
have to go in there, and there's like an older man who's like telling his granddaughter the story about Hein. And he more or less explains the current myth within the world, what they believe about it now,
Mhm.
which is Hein was like a god of Final Fantasy VIII's world who created human beings for some purpose. They were making or building something, and he went to go to sleep. And when he woke up, people had populated to such an insane degree. He was like, well, there's way too many efficient people.
Mhm.
And so he started like taking away their children, kind of like killing them off. And this led to a huge war between Hein and like human beings. And human beings ended up kind of subduing him, and so he made a promise that he would split half of his body. So like half of his power is what that's supposed to be, that he would give to humans, and then he would, keep his other half to like supplicate them. What he didn't tell them is that the half that he gave them was completely useless. But the other half, where he kept all his power, is the power, it became the power that is passed into sorceress. So like Hein's power is passed from sorceress to sorceress to sorceress. And that's where the sorceress is, that's like the origin of sorceress is in the story. That is the extent of Hein's legend in this world that we know of in the text that's in the game, or really even in what they explain in Ultimatum. There's just not that much second time that you see anyone talking about it, again optional, is when you go to the white seed ship, and you go to like, what do you call it, like the nose of the ship?
Oh, yeah.
There's a seed, like a female seed there with two kids, and again, you have to do it at the right time, because you go there right when you enter the seed ship, you poke around and talk to them, they won't say anything about honey.
Oh
But
my
if you
gosh.
go through like the whole sequence and you talk to everybody and you're ready to leave the white seed ship, and then you go talk to her, I think it triggers this scene where she's telling them about Hein, and she more or less says the same thing. Now, there's some speculation about whether or not Hein is actually a god or not, or whether he's just a powerful wizard or something, but it's not really that relevant, because, I don't know, it's just like,
We
this
just
is the
don't know.
origins of
We
the
don't know.
sorceress of Battle. That's basically all you
Like,
get
that
out
was
of
an ancient sorceress-ish type person who lived a long time ago, and that's, I mean,
Yeah, so, you know, I'll read just this next little bit so that you can get an idea of like why people like to discuss about this. He says, I pose that the stronger a sorceress is, the more blood of Hines they have in their veins, and the longer they spend with that power and blood, the more they resemble Hines. So this is like why Adele, for instance, is like more evil
and looks,
than another.
dude,
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw this.
I saw your then.
So did you see the video clips I used? where
Yes.
You could see the body
I
on
did not, in the,
PlayStation.
in the ST version, not the HD,
Oh,
in the
you
original
did see
version,
that?
it just, they all look like tattoo figures, you know, it doesn't look like, but I did see that.
Yeah, so it's like metal, a metal textured body armor.
I,
that's
like, you
put
put
around.
tattoo, armor, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's true, that's true.
So anyways,
Armor, we'll use this
the
armor
reason,
overall.
the reason why we haven't really talked about this much is because I can't see how it is like terribly relevant to the thematic core of FF8, as much as it is just kind of like background information. But the game itself and even the Ultimania doesn't offer much on this. It's kind of just Hines' power is where passing the sorceresses. I mean, this is kind of a cool idea that like the more of Hines' power you have in you, the more evil you are or something, right? I guess that could explain it, but I don't think it really contextualizes anything to a degree to where it's like, oh, okay, that makes this plot point make more sense, or this adds to the game's themes or not. So, again, I apologize that I can't be a great theory crafter or a discusser of theories.
Theory discussor.
It's just not for me, so. Okay, so we have Aikichi Onizuka. Eikichi Onizuka. I love your analysis of the basketball court scene. Very valid points of criticism levied. However, I think the characters resigning themselves to fate immediately makes sense. They're all mercenaries trained since childhood and are thus conditioned to behave like this. Since Liberty Fatale is literally fated children or children of fate, I think this behavior is meant to solidify this theme. I think it's perfectly rational for Renoa to be the objecting voice, since she's an outsider that was recently brought into the fold. I get where you're coming from. I do.
I wouldn't go so far to say perfectly rational, I wouldn't go there.
Yes.
But there is some element of fate, they can't change it, and they're doing what they're doing, I mean, there's, you know.
But like, Squall tries to defy fate and saving Renoa.
Basically, many times.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that it's that they are, that there's never a, how am I trying to say this? I don't think that the characters have an attitude of just resigning themselves to fate and that that's tied to the theme. I think they are fated, and that's part of the theme. But I don't necessarily think that them, like, immediately just resigning themselves to fate is part of the thematic core, if that makes sense. Because, like I said, Squall does try to change fate in the
Yes.
source.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, again, I can kind of see what you mean, but I'm not convinced that they would just be immediately okay with killing their matron. That they wouldn't have any reservation or anything, any
Especially
hesitation.
right in that moment. Like, maybe if they took some days and thought on it and said, you know, we really have to
Came
still do
around
this.
on it.
Yeah. But they just now barely remembered the only mother figure that they have in their mind. And it's in that moment that they decide that that's okay to
thing to come to the conclusion that you need to do something after wrestling with the
Yes.
emotional distress of the fact that I'm going to have to kill my mom.
Yes.
It's another thing to just almost show no hesitancy about it whatsoever and say, gotta kill her again.
Job to job.
That's the more what I
Yeah.
have a problem with in that orphanage flashback, is that they realize all this stuff and there's not even any kind of emotional trigger that says like, should we really be doing this? There's no doubt, there's no hesitancy. They share none of that, they just plunge forward and we're gonna kill him. And I don't think that's how they would feel about the person who is.
I agree. There would be some hesitancy, and Renoa, the one who didn't know that they were going to, she's the one that wants to save her. There's a weird disconnect there. It doesn't gel. But I did bring up at the time that even though they had resolved that, hey, we got a job to do, we have to do our job, they weren't going to kill her. They were going to the orphanage to find out more information.
Right.
They just happened to run into her on the way, and
Yes.
then had to make a big
Yeah,
decision.
I think
So there is still some way that it works out.
Right, if they said, we're going to find a way to not kill Idea, we're going to try to find a way to save her from the sorceress encounter, let's go to the orphanage and investigate or something.
Yeah.
And on the way, Idea is literally trying to kill you, and you're fighting in self-defense.
You have
That's different than I'm seeking you out to kill you.
Yes, so they didn't do that. So at the very least, they weren't as resolute in their just we have to kill her even though she's our mom. But they did decide to do it still, and then they just happened to run into her and we got her.
So same commenter, well, actually, no, let's actually move to the next one, because that's one. Next one comes from Jets.1. I really like the vocal Eyes on Me playing during the Ragnarok scene. As mentioned, the dialogue between the characters is in text boxes as opposed to verbalized, so it didn't clash that much with me. It was also really impressive at the time to have a vocal song playing during a game.
We didn't bring that up. did
Right,
we?
'cause it's-
This was 98 or 99, and that was a big deal.
Impressive thing.
That was a big deal.
Combined with the FMV's part of the reason why I like FF8, seemed like such a grand movie. Most importantly, though, to me, was the storyline significance for those paying close attention. This melody had been shown to the player numerous times by them. Julia, My Mind, The Waltz for the Moon, Love Grows, these are different tracks,
Yes.
where it has that leitmotif. But without lyrics. You know from the Dowling flashback that Julia wrote the melody, but was struggling for lyrics. And from the Windhill flashback that she had finally written them about Laguna. So in that very moment on the Ragnarok, you were really hearing Julia sing about Laguna for the first time. For those heavily invested, it was a pretty large payoff. And seeing as if in that moment, the decreased Julia's words were finally, or the deceased Julia's words were finally reaching Laguna through their children. I thought that was an interesting perspective.
That is a very interesting. I would have liked that if we needed to do it that way, which is true. You needed to hear that song, not just the main credits like sometime before. I still would have preferred that happen elsewhere other than right then. And I still, because you can still have that moment. That song is written by Julia about Laguna. And so I think that also, we did bring this up a little bit, but that also does make it a little weird to be playing during Swallowing Riddle's, moment. This song about, other people that we know is about not the two people we're looking at. Now, I know there is a connection, but there is still, I feel like maybe we could have heard that song at some other point, maybe on the radio or something, and it would have, but then you wouldn't have heard the whole song. It needed to play for a prolonged period.
That's a good point.
So, I
It's
don't know,
tough.
you can't have a prolonged period without text boxes, but in my head, comprehending, listening in.
All right, it's about that time. Let me
I agree that that can
make
be-
some.
It's not just.
I'm gonna make a pot of coffee. The sun just went down. I gotta move something.
But there were people in my stream while I was playing this.
So yeah, I will be right
So I think
back.
there's kind of a split on this. Some people really like it, some people don't.
Sounds like fun.
Sounds like fun.
But that is a very good point,
Yeah.
that it was one of the first, PS1 was the first console to be able to do this, and that song did have really intense meaning,
the Julia there.
Yes.
And I was like, you know how they do yeah, they combine the teams that they like.
Oh,
The Julia is a good one.
that's a good team to be
Team
on.
LaJulia.
Team LaJulia. Yeah, too bad that one didn't work out. Who's on team, who's Carlisle? Carlia? Who was on team?
Caraway.
Carol Lulu. Who's on that team? No one. Those are the jerks. Avoid those people.
I don't know if I mentioned this. Did I mention this back in the other podcast where you know the soldier from the Zen?
Yes, you did mention it. You did.
Who's like pissed that Laguna in that first flashback is talking to Julia. He's like, I'm gonna get you like
Sent,
far
deployed.
away.
Front line, yeah, far away.
That guy is far away.
Yes, you did mention that.
Somebody, I think it's Charlie Bob.
Hey, that's cool. But it's subtext into that. It's not.
Yeah. So this one is throwaway McGee one. It's a one, but it's actually the same one. That's not. So that wasn't Jets Duck one. That was just Jets Duck. And this is throwaway McGee. I think you guys have greatly misunderstood the 4 points in the game that explains everything. Squall is necrophilia. He only has feelings for Noah when she's unconscious
No, I wanted to bring this up.
or when she thinks she's about to die. It's
All
really
right.
he takes her unconscious body and heads out before anyone knows what's up. He's got plans. It's like he's got so annoyed about having to save Noah who's hanging for her life. And why the developer
Like he wanted her to die.
Yeah, he wants her to die. Like why do you keep hanging on?
This is too much, man. This is too
It's
much.
why the lyrics of the songs "Eyes on Me" refer to a creepy dude who just keeps showing up to stare at this girl. My last night here with you, maybe yes, maybe no. That's why he's staring at her, in case it's yes. Squall isn't a vulnerable protagonist struggling with trauma and trust issues. He's a freak who's self-conscious about his freaky fetish, and this ties up to the issues you have with the game. I look forward to your apology in the following video.
Wow. Okay.
That was a dedicated.
That was something.
That was a dedicated joke. I tip my hat to you for Away the Deep for going like.
He just went full, like,
he
full
dove
on.
into the deep end.
Yes. Yeah.
I went all the way with it, and I commend it.
Okay.
I did have to
Where we
bring
at?
up this one thing though, since you mentioned it. I do have to bring this up. I do, because there is a general theory amongst maybe more like feminist type women that there is this part of men that wants a woman
sorry.
to be silent and to not talk and not think, right? And that it just so
Let's
happens that
focus.
when the girl's not talking,
There we go.
that Squall is very interested. And but that is dispelled, especially by the end, where especially that last scene with the not I believe K4 runs out of batteries, so it's just the cinematic where they are actually interacting together, and he does still like her. So it's not that, but there is something there. You know, it's interesting.
Anyways, apologize officially.
You should.
Farini Marchadi. Interested to hear your final thoughts on Ultimisha as a villain, if you give them. I feel like she was kind of flat and bland as a villain.
Well,
What did
yeah,
you feel about Ultimisha?
we didn't get to know her at all. We didn't know she didn't know other than time question. We didn't know what she wanted. Other than she wanted. She is a flat villain, but she's not the only villain in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically she's kind of controlled by the stuff that you see. But you get to know more about all the other villains. I mean, it's true she's flat, but you don't even know who she is until like halfway through this.
I think it's just a consequence of the fact that like this is a slow reveal.
Yeah.
Ultimisha is a slow reveal rather than a villain as opposed to like start.
Yeah.
And so like first you think it's Galvadia, and then you think it's Idea, and Cypher's kind of mixed up in that.
Yeah.
Then it's Adele, and then it's just like it slowly leads to this reveal of this source system in the future. So like typically you want more development on the villain in this,
I'm
but
okay with
in
this
this
stuff.
story I think
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think it's fine. And I am more than happy with the roundness to which they gave Sorceress and Data.
Yeah.
To be critical that they didn't do that same thing with us. I'm
Yeah, I'm with you. This one comes from Aaron Edson. Interesting thought. In quantum mechanics, there's a theory called the many worlds theorem.
yes.
Not an expert, but at any given moment where a decision is made, all results are possible. In the last scene of the game, Squall finds himself in the past with Idea and tells her what is to come. he tells her to create garden, to make seeds and fight the sorceress, and that the first gunblade specialist is to go on this bogus mission for timber. But he doesn't mention his name. There's no direct text, but this is how I read the scene. This creates a time loop, and the first events of the game come after the last. All these decisions were made again. All these decisions were made.
Meaning the decisions were made each time these same decisions were made again.
How do we know they would go the same way again? Cypher took the seed exam twice before Squall. He could have passed. Idea stopped the sniper bullet from 5 blocks away. Who is to say that can happen again? You can go on from there. I waited over 2 months to develop this news.
I understand the many worlds theory, but it applies to everything. So yes, theoretically there is other worlds that where this could happen. But Idea did know.
She did connect the fact that that's
because she
Squall.
said you're the only Squall allowed in this world. She was talking to the young girl. So she did know that that was older adult
Yeah,
Squall.
she put those pieces together.
Yeah.
Because Squall sees his younger self run away. And
He's like,
turns to her and
he
he's
won't.
he won't. He'll come back later. He'll be fine. And she kind of sees in the subtext, wait a minute, I'm talking to the same person.
And it's clear that she knows.
She knows. So, there you go.
But still, but the many worlds hypothesis leads down a crazy rabbit hole that I just there's too many possibilities.
Okay. Chibi Fox. I realize this comment is late, but I wanted to give my thoughts on what you were saying about how the player choice impacts the romance. Okay, so this is one of our female viewers who's there. Because we asked for
Yes.
feedback from them.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. There and also in the date scene in Fisherman's Horizon, the way you pick the music has an impact on the way the following scene goes as well. It's not something I've ever known because I've always picked the same music.
Yeah, me too. I didn't
Depending on which song you create, the scene between Squall and Winona ends up being different. So
Okay.
that's an even added element of how how the romance can be received differently. Depending on which scene that you see
Okay.
in Fisherman's Horizon, depending on which music you picked for the players to play. Isn't that crazy?
I mean that's cool, but
This
I'm
is-
saying oh man because I might have missed something.
You're embodying why I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that stylistic choice.
I played it 20 times before I finally ever even thought about, hey, let's have someone do tap dancing. Or I can't remember what the option was.
Yeah.
But
So,
I just found that weird.
anyways, but yeah, with Squall, if you pick all the cold options, it really does somewhat ruin his character arc because it basically removes the development. Squall's written to go from point A to B, and we, the player, get some say in that development. Problem is, if you give him no development, then, then he's not going to stay at point A. He's not going to stay at point A, even though that would feel more natural. He's just going to all of a sudden get to point B with no development because the player didn't choose to give him that. And for the first-time players, they may not know if or when they should make him open up, or they may just not want him to. As a girl who actually does like the romance, and also likes to role-play the main character, I almost always end up playing Squall the same way. At the start, I always tend to pick the professional cold responses, but as Squall starts feeling more emotionally unstable at this point, I have him start to open up to his friends because it feels very natural. It feels like a very natural place for that girl to start. I agree with that, for the most part. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. Is like when he starts, like after the Galbadia garden scene, freaks out and like runs away and talks about not wanting to be just a memory or whatever.
Yep.
Right around there, kind of make a switch to picking more moments.
Yeah.
So Squall. It's probably an appropriate time
Yeah.
to start doing that.
This is the danger of giving players choice, though. I mean, people have can screw up their own playthrough without knowing it.
We have Tears of the Fallen here. Error ratio in mathematics would be a way to describe the accuracy.
We said
the
missile.
ratio.
Yeah.
Meaning the precision will proportionally drop, causing spread to increase.
Right.
The issue here might be the translation, but I've been studying and learning mathematics for 10 years and programming software for the last 5. That would be a source code variable, but the UI would have a very different name called spread or area of effect. I suspect a translation error, but could just be a bad name. However, in terms of its real world,
It could just be a bad name.
exists and is accurate in its meaning. So I ended up asking for clarification on that because I was doing a missile guidance and stuff. So he said he found this paper here that he posted. He says, check out optimality of aerodynamics in missile guidance.
Hey, thanks,
This is
kitten.
probably the first result from the Google search missile guidance error.
Drop the
The
follow.
main
Thank
error
you. Thanks for the follow.
is angle, meaning the flight path.
Yeah, I'm doing this all the time. Half the time I'll monologue, you know,
Missiles go off course
and I'll talk a lot. I'll give ideas about things, and then other times I'm just kind of like kicking back and drawing things like that. So yeah, thank you. It feels weird not to talk because I feel like people probably want to have something to listen to, like especially music and things. But I always get afraid of getting like the DMC thing, getting strikes and all that. So that's why I'll monologue. But then sometimes I really don't have anything to say. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
That means your spread has now increased and the range of destination will be increased. In a missile guidance system, the parameters that determine the angle are much more precise than the human hand. So aside from environmental variables, I would say wind or something like that. After launch, the only way to tweak the radius is to manually select multiple points per single missile or to tweak the precision of the missiles, which is done by changing the error in the calculations.
So because they fired multiple missiles, you don't want them all to hit the exact same point. You do want an error rate so that way it'll hit around the area.
So I wanted to bring this up as a counterpoint to our dismissal of this idea, like that it could have a practical application.
Theoretically, when you're doing it,
So cool, man.
you know that there are multiple missiles.
And I love y'all people on Twitch here, man. I
You
swear.
probably do know because when the missiles are launched to Trabia, you do see like 5 or 6 go off.
Yeah. So they've launched quite a few.
Yeah.
So the idea is just that
That's
they
fascinating.
don't want them all to hit literally exactly the precise same point.
Exactly.
They want to spread out the impact of the missiles. a little
Which
bit.
means by upping the error rate, you likely made it harder for the Vanguard to escape the radius of impact.
Cool.
So we did the wrong thing, thinking it was so stupid.
Yeah, so
We're doing the right
increasing
thing
the error rate actually increases the chance of Vanguard being hit.
because it moves from the area of impact, but we widen the area of impact.
So
add-on.
he finishes this off by saying, so like I said, I 100% agree with you that the words error would never be used in this case for the UI, the user interface.
Right.
Because what you're trying to do is increase the range of impact in that triangle. But the way to achieve that is to increase the error rate, making the missile system more imprecise, but still accurate. Precision being the closeness of the impact points, and accuracy being the relative distance from the target and the impact points. So,
All right. Cool.
brilliant response. Thank you for that.
Well researched.
It definitely is a very valid point. And I think that's it. I think that was on this one. We got Ray Eldrick. By the way, I'm a woman. I don't like the romance, and for most women, you hit the nail on the head with why she kept that. Think about it. Zone and what's his name calling her princess, so the Timber Owls people. Her father treated her like she's so fragile and shelf-worthy. Cypher liked her enough to do what he did, try to rescue her at the TV station.
He wasn't shy about
Yeah.
him liking
Irvine is a flirt, but she still presumed it was because of her prowess. Squall acts like you wish, so she must have him. I think that's a very valid point.
Oh wow. Yeah, they did pick on the lovey-dovey relationship stuff. See, man, this is why girls always
This one comes from
you got to listen to girls
Gil.
and get their perspective on things cuz yeah, they're just going to look at things that guys never will. I listen to girls on podcasts and things like that
If Squall decided to send her to Selfie's party with the missile,
just to hear what they have to say about things. Always got a interesting perspective.
the machine.
So that's why she's so in love with Squall. Makes sense. I'll take that.
Did this as well. I just love the touches they made of having her along, though, especially that sequence in responding to Dr. Kawaki with both long responses. In response to that comment, Fallen Wings says, it doesn't hurt the growth at all. I always send Renault on the other team. One, I like having an all-girls team, and two, the dialogue of when they meet up is super cute. You can even select Squall saying, I missed her.
Oh, really?
So there's kind of two sides to that. Like one, you don't get the vanilla tour scene.
Yeah.
You send her away, but Squall can then say, "I missed you.
Right.
I was thinking about you. I thought you died.
If you select.
If you selected
Yeah.
your ability." So two perspectives on that to consider.
That's fascinating.
One last one here from Mimic Warrior artist. He and I have had a lot of good back and forth.
You say
over the
exchange
years.
pleasantries.
Exchanges on YouTube over the years. You caught this
Today
comment
or yesterday, yeah.
on the last upload that we
Yeah.
did. You want to explain kind of what he was saying and give your response?
Basically, it's just the beginning part. It's not the entire comment. It's mostly the beginning part, and it was in reference to you talking about the Ragnarok coming, Deus Ex Machina,
Yeah.
and Deus Ex Machina meaning well, God out of the machine, but like something out of nothing, right? Basically, but the nothing being like the story, like the something out of just like your imagination, basically, as referring to the story writer, is the way I prefer it this way. But you kind of mentioned
I tried to correct myself. It might not be like a technical Deus Ex Machina, but it's still such an unlikely thing to happen in my
But I still think it is. I mean, But basically, this comment, and what's his name?
Mimic
Warrior
Warrior artist.
Artist says, yeah, it does seem quite unlikely that the Ragnarok could show up right then and there. But
It's not a problem because
it's not a problem because this story is a fantasy story,
Yeah.
like period. And we get this a lot, actually.
I have
We hear this
seen-
from so many people.
I have seen this as a rebuttal to criticism I've made probably 100 times since I started doing it.
But you have an interesting way of answering this though, because you talk. I think the reason that comes up is because people use a word, the word that makes people think, oh, but it's a fantasy, is the word realistic.
Yeah,
So
that's not realistic. That
yes, say that's not realistic, and then the rebuttal is, oh, it's a fantasy. Why do you expect it to be realistic?
Yes.
Well, that's not what I mean by realistic. And so, Mike, you actually have a better word
Yes.
that you use for that. So explain.
So there's a difference between making something realistic and making something convincing.
Convincing. That's the word.
I was gonna say believable. Yeah.
Sure.
Um,
No. Fantasy. Convincing.
No.
That's the word.
here's the thing. It doesn't have to be realistic for it to happen and for me to go, oh, I buy that.
Right.
I'm convinced that would happen in this world.
Yeah.
It's not realistic in Harry Potter that they have a wizard school.
That they can do magic. Yeah.
She convinced me in the course of building that world
Mhm.
that this happens and this is worth believing in.
Yes. It's the suspension of disbelief.
It's
Yeah.
storytelling is all set and payoff,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't want a story element to land as if it's a Deus Ex Machina or it comes out of nowhere or it's just this miraculous thing, it's a good idea to set it up or to explain the rules of how your world works if it's going to go contrary
Yep.
to what people would assume
Yes.
would happen, so that they can believe.
You know, I want to stop that for just a second. I mean, shout out to Kitten, man. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for everything like that, man. I really appreciate it. And for instance, when I say like I'll ramble or I'll monologue or I'll talk something, it's whenever I get an idea to talk about something, I'll do it. Or if I just got done reading the latest One Piece or watching the latest Captain and Winter Falcon, Captain and Winter Falcon, Falcon and Winter Soldier. There we go. I get done watching one of those or something like that, and I have like these ideas fresh in my brain. Like I come on here and I'll start talking about them as I work. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I think the other day, like a couple streams ago, I completely dropped my thought. I was like right in the middle of trying to make a point, and I'd been talking for a good while, and then it just all just disappeared. And then I spent the rest of the stream, finishing the artwork, but also like stumbling over my words and trying to figure out like what was the point of everything I was saying, because it was all leading up to something. But just real quick, just to talk about like everything that I'm working on here, as far as like the map and these environments and all the concept artwork and the characters and things like that goes, everything that I'm working on it's for a story that I've been writing for, or that I started writing 5 years ago, and yeah, there we go. That's what I needed to do. Um, and I did all these thumbnail sketches to get started, and to building the world and crafting it and all that other stuff, and just to kind of drop my 2 cents in on what these guys are talking about as far as like reality and believability and things like that. Um, because I don't work in the industry, I haven't gotten a job in the industry yet, and I keep trying, but they keep saying no. Um, uh, that's the reason why I started writing, was just because I came to the conclusion that if I never work for these companies and I never get to work with their properties and work with these dope ideas that they have, regardless of what it is, I mean, they're all great. DC, Marvel, Sony, uh, Xbox, like all of them, I love them all. So it's like, if I never get an opportunity to work with them, like I will have spent my entire life on rejection. And, that's why I took, a few years off of doing art, which was difficult for me to choose to do. But I was like, you know what? I need to learn how to write. If I'm gonna have to work on these things and I have to work on them myself and I don't know how to do it because I don't have any experience, I started writing my own story. Just saying that to say this, it's extremely difficult to write a story. That's why I took years off, but I did it, for better or for worse. And um, to talk about reality and believability, what I ended up writing was everything that I always wanted to work on. All the properties, all the superheroes, all the video games, everything that I've ever wanted to work on, I included in my story. That's why it's such a big story. I know you probably don't know all the details to it. This might be your first time, but I have a lot that I'm working on and that I'm trying to accomplish with all of this. And it's it takes a lot. And the whole reason why I'll be doing all this concept artwork for like years, you know what I mean? But I love it because it's artwork. I'm finally done writing, and now I get to go back to drawing, and now every single one of my drawings is feeding that writing that I did. So all of this is mine. I own it all. It's completely original. Like obviously I'm pulling from sources that I like, but everybody uses references. Um, but with that said, um, yeah, I just appreciate that these guys are saying things like this because, not only are they breaking things down incredibly intelligently. Oh, my coffee's ready, by the way. But, to bring light to the differences of something being realistic and something being believable, are two completely different things. The world that I've created is completely made up. Um, But with that being said, it's like I can't just have everything work willy-nilly. Like I can't just let it all be, uh, oh, well, that's just the way it is, so that's how it's gonna be. It's like, no, no, I have to make it make sense within the world that I've created. And, it's hard to try to mash up a lot of different concepts and things. Um, if you try to imagine, uh, if you try to imagine like the Disney universe mashing in with the Capcom universe, so to speak, all of a sudden it's like, yo, that's a lot. That's a lot of properties. That's a lot of ideas. It would take a lot of work to combine those things. Well, that's pretty much precisely what I did. And yeah, it's a lot. And then trying to make it make sense is hard work. And I don't know, I just wanted to give that because those guys just said they just dropped that bar of like reality and believability. And yeah, I put a lot of time into uh, making my story as believable as possible as well. But I haven't gone into the actual story elements yet. I'm still just working on the concept artwork, and I haven't really revealed any of the story yet. Hopefully, with all the concept artwork that I'm doing, people will begin to be interested in learning about the story. And then once I'm done with the concept artwork, I'll be creating a manga, and then the manga will tell the story. And at that point, you know, I'll probably release like the first chapter for free, but then every chapter after that is probably going to end up being like a digital comic. I'd like to produce like a physical comic because that's what I like to read, or you know, the actual physical ones. But things like that. This is all leading up to something. It's all going somewhere, and you know, that's what my channel's all about. So I dig that you like this. I'm happy that you like this, and yeah, man, I'm gonna keep bringing the heat, and I hope you know, I hope to see you there for every step of the way. I'm gonna continue to play this, and I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee while I'm at it. Man, my eyes are getting heavy.
Exactly.
You
It
don't-
needs to be set up.
You don't have to make it realistic because it's a fantasy world, but you do have to convince them it would happen.
Yes,
There
in
is-
your world.
There is
It needs to be
nothing,
convincing.
there is nothing in Final Fantasy VIII's world building that would make me assume that gravity is not a law, and that this
And that
this
thing
is
isn't
in
revolving.
gravity
Yeah,
going around.
the planet.
I- those laws seem to mirror our own world.
They do
And
appear to.
There's nothing here that suggests otherwise, so that's still incredibly unlikely to happen. I'm not convinced by the scene.
Exactly.
But that doesn't, so just saying it's fantasy so they can do what they want with it is, I think, kind of a mistake to make, because you were saying, try this, you know.
So write your own story and make a story where, well, it's fantasy, so anything can happen, and literally make anything happen, and see who buys that book. Because if there are no rules, if there are no constraints, if everything just comes out of nowhere and nothing needs to be explained and anything can happen because, quote, it's a fantasy, then, and that's your rationale behind it, then it's not going to resonate with anybody. Like,
All
having a
right,
story
got my
just
coffee.
is the reason why
Earlier today, I discovered I could drink with my left hand and draw with my right hand, so I'm gonna be doing that.
Something that resonates, which means familiarity or convincing people that this could happen in your world, that's fair enough, and creating a believable world in the first place. And it doesn't mean that you can't play around with these fantasy elements. It doesn't mean you can't have crazy stuff happen. But you need to set it up, and you need to have rules that make sense so that people can follow. What people do when they read is oftentimes they're trying to guess what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next year. And if you take that away from the player by saying anything can happen, there is no possible way you're going to be able to guess what happens.
Yes.
Because anything can happen at any point, and there is no rule against it. Then you've created a system that basically takes it's not, what's the word? There's active reading, active participation, and then there's passive.
Or
You
passive,
know, you've taken the active role away from the reader
Yeah.
by creating a system where they can't possibly anticipate anything. Anyways, I'm taking this to the extreme because that's not what Mimic was saying necessarily. I'm just saying that the answer that it's a fantasy, therefore it doesn't have to make sense, that is not a good response.
Yeah, I agree.
But I believe the response comes to the portrayal of the word realistic. Whenever you and I or somebody
Yes.
uses the word realistic, the assumption is, oh, these dummies don't know that they're watching a fantasy movie. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, we know we're watching a fantasy. Realistic means something, there's a disconnect. We're talking past each other. And so the word convincing, I think, is a much better word to use so that people who are inclined to believe it without much effort, right, who don't need much convincing, I guess, won't have the rebuttal of it's, well, it's a fantasy, it doesn't have to be realistic. It's a fantasy, it still has to be convincing.
This is the rationale behind Brandon Sanderson's hard magic that he creates for the
Mhm.
villains, right? Because you want the resolution to a problem to have the audience say, our characters were geniuses to
Yeah.
think to do that
Yeah.
within the confines or the rules of
Within the
world.
rules.
I didn't think that, but now that because I understand the rules, yes, that's completely possible.
Yeah.
Holy crap, they're geniuses for thinking of that,
Yeah.
right?
Within the
I wouldn't have
constraints.
thought of that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
But
what
it was
you
convincing.
want
Yes.
your audience to do
Mhm.
when a problem is resolved. The problem here is Squall and Renault are floating helplessly out into space,
Space is big, by the way. Space is very large.
and how on earth are they possibly going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Rather than just having a spaceship just can very conveniently show up.
If it was docked at the station before the station got
Yeah.
destroyed, and I don't know.
And somebody piloted it over to them.
Sure.
And you saw, right? So there was a whole
Yeah.
setup to it. As you're running around inside the space station, you're looking out the window and you see this Ragnarok ship docked at the space station.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, Laguna or something.
Right.
When they try to escape, they run out and get inside of it.
What? Yeah. How did
And
we do
then,
it? What if we
and then
did
they
it?
pull over and grab you, because you need to go talk to Laguna at this point
Right.
anyways, like, right after this.
It makes
But
more sense.
What it would cause complications for would be now have to problem solve.
We weren't supposed to know that was Laguna.
You're not supposed to know Laguna, but also
Yeah.
you wouldn't have the scene with Squall and Renault being alone and fucking alone, so.
That's why, because I actually thought when I was trying to rationalize why Squall should hug her and all that,
Yeah.
I thought, well, what if the Ragnarok was piloted, and then as soon as they got in it, they were imprisoned right then,
Yes.
instead of having this whole thing. Oh, dang, now you missed the scene and her and the characters are living.
So anyways,
Missile.
that would introduce new problems, so that's probably not the answer. Right?
No.
That's not, my point is
That
not that
doesn't
I have
mean-
in my brain right now a better
Right.
idea of how to solve this. My point is that it's not been set up. So therefore, when it happens, it feels really convenient and unsatisfying.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's how they get out of this?
Right. And that's part of the stakes were so high to have them be resolved by just a mere happen chance. Oh, we happen to be floating right next to a thing that takes us home. That is anticlimactic. Like
It's
it
anticlimactic.
takes these high stakes and it makes them just like, there's a lot.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. It's more about the fact that it's deflating of the high stakes,
Yeah.
and it feels.
Oh, shit, I forgot about that.
To be convincing, than it is about like, oh, but like
Whoops.
it's a fantasy story, and we could concoct some sort of rule in which like this is made more possible or something. But you got if you're going to do that, you just have to.
You
explain
just
it
have to
first.
set it up. And that's the thing. So instead of just saying, oh, it's a fantasy and anything goes, you could say it's a fantasy, therefore you should have set it up ahead of time.
Yes.
Yep.
Like they had all the freedom in the world to set this up better. I know they mentioned the Ragnarok at some point, but like that's different from actually like creating a system or a rule whereby which this is like remote.
Well, when you do see a scene where those Ragnaroks are
Carrying-
launching and carrying a
the
Delta.
Delta.
However, you don't see the scene until you talk to Laguna after the fact.
Oh, so it wasn't set
It
up.
was not set up. It was explained afterwards that how the ship got into orbit, but it still doesn't change the fact that they're precise.
That's a problem.
Like orbit of the Ragnarok at the precise moment that it comes up on. Even if it, like I think I said in the video, if it was within a mile of them and they could even just see it,
That
that
would
would
be
be
miraculous.
miraculous.
Yeah.
The fact that it actually comes in contact with them is unbelievably unlikely. Like the odds of that are insane.
Yep.
That it's not on the other side of the planet in its orbit. That it's not.
That it's at the
orbit
right
that's-
level of orbit or north south.
Yeah, but that it's maybe like high. What do we call it? It's not higher. It's
And
a
open
wider
space.
orbit or a narrower
Yeah, yeah,
orbit,
yeah.
right?
Whether it's in lower gravity or-
perfectly aligned with them
Yeah.
is might as well be impossible. It's so unlikely.
Yes. And you have to actually contend with that. You can't just say that, oh well, Kitase wrote it a fantasy and so it works. You have to actually contend with this. And Kitase chose not to
Yeah.
contend with the unlikelihood of this event. He chose not to actually give it its due, which would have actually helped with such a high stakes situation. He chose not to do it. That was a conscious choice for them to do. And the fact that the story happens to be classified in a genre of fantasy does not excuse it.
Yes, I agree with that. So, anyways,
As That's one cup down. I'm gonna go grab my second cup. I'll be back. Give me like a minute or two.
There was no way I was gonna be able to respond to all of them. I tried to respond to some just in text, like there on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
The most common one that I've heard, which is funny because it is basically the reason this is what we're setting out to do.
Yeah.
But I've heard so many people say, "Wow, this really deepened my appreciation for the game." And honestly, that's like our goal. Like we want that result. Like if we can help people to deepen the appreciation of games that they already like or realize appreciate games that they didn't like before. That's awesome. And thanks for letting us know because that is what we're trying to do. And we just so many people.
Yeah. And I'm really like grateful that that ended up getting how people took it because we do criticize the
We
game
do
a lot.
quite a bit.
Like a lot. And despite that, like if people still, because that's kind of the point we're trying to make, is like there's a lot of things about this game that have or still do bother us. But like underneath all of that, I think that Final Fantasy VIII is still a really great game with a lot of cool ideas, a lot of really effective moments, and good storytelling.
Yes.
And there's some bad storytelling, but like there's a core in the middle of it that I really appreciate myself.
And I
like to
find
create more and more of it.
it's very like valuable. Is the way I would describe this game. This is a very valuable game in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And so there you go. We thank everybody for watching this 12-hour dissertation on Final Fantasy VIII. There have also been a lot of people who commented and said, I can't believe I watched a 2.5-hour video about Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, and then they say, when's the next one?
Again and again. But,
Hey, we're gonna do this for a lot of different
yeah,
games. So.
we are stoked about this format. We're glad that you guys are liking it.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to vote on the next one that we cover, hit us up on Patreon or on Subscribe. Either place will be able to do that. And we're looking forward to the next one. Okay. Till then, we'll see you at the end of April. Peace out, man. Whatever.
Holy crap. The video's done? Oh my god. Yo. So, wow. That channel is called Resonant Arc. Yeah, let me grab this. And I finally finished watching their videos on Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, I really don't have much to say other than I've been watching that shit for like 2 days now. I mean, 5 videos that are like, maybe 3 hours long, give or take. It's 15 hours, give or take, of stuff I was watching. Just these 2 guys talking about that video game. Wow. You ever just spend a lot of time with something and then after it's done, you gotta like take a breath? That's how I feel after watching this. It's but like in a good way, of course. They killed that, man. And this was a new channel that I never heard before or anything like that. It just kind of popped up and I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch something about Final Fantasy VIII. I don't hear enough about it, so I'll watch it. And then boom, new channel that I really like. So that's cool, man. I don't know what I have next. Is it like the Joe Budden podcast? What's coming on next? So yeah, I'm subscribed to them now, and I liked all the videos that I watched of theirs. So yeah, okay. And I got the Joe Budden podcast coming on next. So that's what's gonna be playing. I might turn it up. I might turn it down if I have anything to say. But I've been kind of quiet for this stream, so I may just continue being quiet. Do-doom. Do-doom. Do-doom.
New edition ice.
Part of the show,
We introducing a new drop.
I mean, potentially, we'll
Let's
see.
see. Let's see. We got something, but I never heard this. This is brand. This is a grand.
This is-
Grand premiere.
Kiara Lopez, who does the Girls That Love the Joe Budden podcast, sent this gem here. Hold
Oh, wait a second.
Yo.
No, don't take that out so soon. Don't take that out so soon. Wait a minute. Hold on. We gotta get how it sounds in the flow of things. Hold on. Let me see. No. That one go before you go. Hold
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's like getting into the podcast Hall of Fame. Y'all got a drop?
Hell yeah. I need a drop.
Wow, man. Huh?
That's what I need.
How does greatness feel?
How does greatness feel? Oh, he's stupid. Okay, sorry.
Listen, man, microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? We are back. Welcome to episode, I think, 432, right?
Yeah,
432 of the Joe Budden Podcast. I'm your humble, gracious, grateful, and highly favorite host, Joe Budden, here with a few of my nearest and dearest. Parks is here, E-Rad is here, Ish is here, Ice is here, and Corey is here. I want to take this time out to shout out our favorite app in the world. Powered by, empowered by, sponsored by, brought to you by, tolerated by, and put up with by Cash App, our favorite app. Subscribe on Patreon for the vibes. I'm not going to tell you to follow me on any of my socials anywhere because they're just stuck and broken. So I'm the only person whose numbers on his socials are stuck.
You're not active though. Liking pictures is not being active on this.
You gotta play with the algorithms, buddy.
What do I have to just constantly upload for them to acknowledge that people are indeed following me?
Yeah, and your little fool picture.
That's not doing it?
That's not getting it done.
Damn.
Doesn't say different. Okay. DMs, a bunch of chefs in there complimenting
Right.
asking for different recipes. But I'm not playing with y'all today. I'm not playing with y'all today. It's Saturday, but not really. What was I just saying? Because y'all fucked me up now.
You were shouting out Cash App.
You were saying your pages and shit.
Oh yeah, I don't care about that. My socials and stuff. I don't care. It's fine. How's everybody doing, man?
At least they're stuck at a nice high number.
They're not.
You got $1 million or something?
What do you do? What do you do?
Ungrateful.
Well, I'm grateful.
Followers.
Your followers aren't.
No, I just know a trick when I see one. I've been at 1.7 million followers, and I sound vain and shallow, but even discussing this, I don't sound like a 40-year-old man. But I just noticed something. Like, don't put something in something's strange. I've been on 1.7 million followers on Instagram for 5 years.
So what you think Instagram about it?
Through mad monumental moments for me, awards won, groundbreaking interviews, fucking mad life-changing shit happening for me. My shit has not budged.
Conspiracy.
More women thinking I'm cute, like, it has not budged.
What do you think about it for you?
I think that because I'm not using the system the way they prefer me to use it, that they've got some type of block on my shit, or it's just stuff. Something like that. So I made a phone call. I said, yo, I think there's something going on back there. Could you peek around? They went to peek around. They came back and said, nah, everything's fine. Everything's kosher back here. That's your natural following.
Or so maybe
My Twitter followers, I lose 200 followers, 250 followers an hour, something like that.
Well, you bought all those followers.
I was going to say, you said,
But I tell you, now I know why people bought followers though, because I mean, your followers dictate your prices. It's not stupid.
It's not stupid at all. What happens when you get exposed and all your followers, or when Twitter go and does their cleanse, and you go from 6 million to 2 million?
That cleanse has happened once every 5 years, once every 7 years, and you can't take the money back. It's just right.
Oh, you want the money? Okay.
Yeah, that's why people do it.
That's it.
They do it because the advertisers are saying, all right, what you're following.
Well, now they're not doing that no more. They're not looking at just your following. Now they want to see impressions, engagement, and all of that. And fake followers don't equal that.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
On Twitter or in both.
no, that's not true. In some packages, that's why you see under a lot of these boards, some of the more popular posts, the first 100 comments is spam. Like now, when you buy these packages, they'll spam their engagement too to make it look like something. They just padded shit. My shit, I try to be organic and it's stuck there, but
That's where I'm at. I be trying to be organic with mine. I get offers every day, but I be like, nah.
They go up. Years and years.
I ain't trying to.
I'm in a round of applause for the fans, man.
They told you that's your numbers are correct. That's your proper follower, right? That's what they said.
Yeah.
You talk to them. So maybe the other folks, that's not their proper following. That's the following with a little boosting.
And you know what I realized yesterday? I didn't want to get one over, but my shit don't move because I don't play the game on there. Like all I posted yesterday, I posted some turkey wings. I posted sunrising. I don't post like these niggas is posting Lambos, Bentleys, Bentleys and Hummers. Little daddy, we about that. They
posted all that shit there. They ended up on Explore.
private jets, jewelry, fly clothes. Is that what you have to do nowadays?
That's what Ish was saying before about the pressure.
Exactly.
Yes, that is what you gotta do. You have to look that image in. Yeah.
You gotta make Hot Boy spring.
Hot Boy Spring.
Right. The name is Instagram.
You say that like we have to do that, right? But I had a lot more fun, bro.
Each have two different. Their definition of fun is a little different now.
I said that to you before.
I don't have a lot of fun because you've seen a picture that you thought was dope.
Right.
It depends on what you're doing.
That don't really
while
do it for
taking
me.
the picture.
Listen, I'm old.
I'm old.
This is the Uncle to the Barbecue podcast. What do you want me to do? I'm not starting with Instagram. Y'all have a blast over there. Let's start with Aaron Darnold. A few months ago, I came in here and I said, yo, did you ever think about the man that you are in competition with the woman that you like? And I asked that to Marlon Rory, and in typical Marlon Rory fashion, what do you mean? No, they were just like, that never happened to me. What do you mean? Go further on that. You kill yourself, nigga. Right? And I said, well, if you like a girl and you're trying to win her heart, but so are some other men, isn't it good sometimes for you as a man that you don't know who the other man is you're battling with? Because what if it's somebody like Aaron Darnold? I had just saw one of his training session videos where he lifted 5 cars with one hand. He broke the little crash test defensive line dummy in the facility. He picks out, he just does unbelievable shit. For those of you that don't know, Aaron Donald is a defensive player for the Los Angeles Rams. He trains with guys who have knives. He's a very strong man made of steel, brick, dinosaur bones, and some other matter that the scientists have not yet discovered.
No, this dude is different.
His hairline is in perfect condition.
You doing a version of it?
Oh my God. He wears a helmet, but your chick knows his face.
That's a lot right there too.
He signed a $100 million deal. He gets $100 million in ad money. His arms are like God's first set of prototype arms. If this guy likes the same girl as you, it's his girl. I assume you to have a difficult time at catch. or Julianne, or wherever the fuck the chick's called.
Did you see this shit?
Yeah. So what happened with Aaron Donald? Aaron Donald was in Pittsburgh for some strange reason. Is he married? Do we know if Aaron Donald's married?
I don't know that.
Putting the man out.
All right, well, I'm just gonna freestyle and hope that Aaron Donald doesn't get offended at anything I say. I see pictures of family. He might be married.
Okay.
I don't know why Aaron Donald was in Pittsburgh. Anytime I went to Pittsburgh,
It's fun. You went to school there.
Yeah, so he went to school there.
Then you went to Pitt. I think. I'm almost sure you went to
He
Pitt.
did. He went to Pitt.
I'm just trying to make jokes on Pittsburgh. You guys keep chiming in with facts. You guys keep chiming in with logic and numbers and schools.
Because of the city.
He's from
Oh, he's from Pittsburgh.
even more.
Whoa. This is all right. So he was in his home. He's in his hometown of Pittsburgh at a club enjoying himself. He had a real busy year of putting 5 defenders' faces in the field in the grass at the same time. I would imagine that to be exhausting. He's at the club having a drink, and some ignorant fool decides to bump into him in Pittsburgh.
Stepped on the shoes.
A million beautiful things to do in Pittsburgh. This was not one of them. Aaron Donald didn't like it. Walked him outside to his car.
Walked him.
Freestyling right now. I don't know.
Said walked him.
But Aaron Donald walked him outside to his car and packed his lunch up for him. Hey, folded him up real nice and put him in a drawer. Hey, yo, homeboy, what's that you was that?
Beat song,
Oh my God. Oh my God.
little freestyle, little beatbox.
Now, if there's one person in the world that you wouldn't want to have this altercation with, it's Aaron Donald.
He's high on the list.
Yeah, he's very high.
He's up there.
Now, the dude who says he got his face beat up and broke up appears to be a big dude.
Huge.
He does.
Knocked his eyebrow off, man.
He knocked his eyebrow off.
You know what kind of ass
It's hard. It's hard.
You know what kind of ass
It's
that
tough to
was?
knock someone's eyebrow off. It is. Who do you think it started this fight? Had to be dude, right?
If I had to guess, it's dude.
If I had to guess, I would say that guy. And he probably didn't even know who he was.
No, you knew who that was.
Nah, he might not. Just another big dude. Because
Well-
again, football players, you don't necessarily see
Well,
them.
well, well, when he found out who it was,
It was an awakening.
16 stitches.
It was an awakening.
He knocked
That's
his
a
eyebrow
top
off.
tier ass whooping, bro.
that sounded like a dude was dead set on hitting you in the same spot over and over again. So let me just tell our audience out there,
One hit a quitter.
men, you shouldn't fight a man who can hit you repeatedly in one spot on your body just in case you had no idea that this wasn't the person that you should fight.
And not an MVP defensive end.
No, that chains with knives on the line.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Tom.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
My bad. You know, this is
Well, he's filing charges, of course.
That's
Oh,
corny.
Which is, yeah, and now he's filing, he's suing.
pressing charges.
He's
saying it was
suing.
unprovoked.
He's suing Aaron Donald. He went to the hospital. He got stitches. His face is beat up. His eyes
He's in
lumped
his
up.
arms in a sling.
And now he wants some money. I hate dudes like this.
The reporters.
I hate dudes like this. Now you want some money. I'm not saying nothing because I wasn't there. I'm not an eyewitness.
He is.
I do think it's always.
His eye is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No,
I saw all that.
No, he didn't.
That nigga eye got a nice
No,
view.
his eye didn't see a thing. His eye was closed. His eye was closed. What did he think? He was big and strong.
The last thing he seen was that knuckles coming at his
I
butt.
just saw sparks.
Bam.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was driving I think that was Ainsworth in Hoboken one Saturday morning. It was beautiful outside, 80 degrees. And when you bust the left right there where the water is, it's traffic, it's congestion. And I bust the left, I was in my car. This when I had the coupe, Ben's coupe. I was feeling myself Saturday morning car wash. It's a fucking minivan behind me. It looked like a postal van truck. He was honking aggressively at me. Fucking put my fucking arm out the window, flipping the bird.
Yeah.
Nigga, fuck you. And your postal
He jumped out
van.
on you.
6'6", 300.
Hey, yo.
Yo, you want to flip me that bird?
Hey, that dude got out of that postal van, walked up on my little coupe. Nigga was man taller than the coupe. So I seen him getting out. I got out too. You ain't catching me seated
No doubt.
in my vehicle, but he still towered over me. He said, yo, you better watch your fucking mouth. I said, okay. No. As my brain was thinking of what to say back, because I ain't gonna let him chump me, he kept going. I ain't with none of that love and hip hop shit.
Oh shit. He's on. He's on.
Walked off. Then he went and got back in his postal vehicle, and I parked,
You kept your ego
and I
intact.
just went inside and had my little meal.
You kept your ego intact.
Now, that's an interesting part of this story. Police say the alleged victim.
Shout out to postal dude. Hey, for letting me enjoy my meal. You gotta be careful when you flip a nigga off in his car. Yeah, cause he was already mad. He's 6'7" in the little postal van. You want nothing more than to learn your little ass. All right, what you say, Mark?
Police say the alleged victim told them he threw a bottle of alcohol, but didn't know if it hit anybody. So
Yeah.
this is maybe how it all transpires. He threw a bottle.
So I threw a bottle. I don't know if it hit nobody.
And it hit
Donald.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bad stray.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
bad
He
stray.
ought to be more careful.
The next time you throw up,
Hey,
don't throw no other bottles. Yo, you be scared throwing a piece of garbage in the what?
he won't throw another one. I'll tell you that.
You won't.
Prayers to that man.
Indeed.
Prayers to that man.
Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
And prayers to Aaron Donald for what? Yo, when I read this story, I was like, he's so much of a star. The Rams ain't even bothering him with this. The Rams ain't calling like, yo, give us all of the details.
Section you this year? Okay.
The Rams are like, yo, just chill, man. We got it. We got it under control.
Every down?
Yeah, we got this. Yeah, don't worry about it.
And listen, if Florida did all that for Aaron Hernandez, you know they holding down fucking Aaron Donald.
And that goes back to what I said about Deshaun.
Hey, who's that coach?
They're gonna hold you down.
Who's that coach?
Sean McVay.
No. That was coaching Aaron Hernandez in college at Florida. One of them big coaches. He gotta get called for garbage. Yeah, we gotta talk to him. We gotta talk to him at the cookout. Now, when he go get his macaroni salad, we gotta talk to him.
Stupid.
Covering up the shit. Yeah, Urban Meyer. Urban, oh, that explains it. That explains it.
something.
Yeah. Wait, huh?
You can't say nothing.
About Urban Meyer?
He's bigger than life in college football.
Yeah, but didn't he do some nasty shit?
He probably did it. Probably did a ton of it. Doesn't matter. He's winning championships.
You always pick the white man.
I don't. I mean, you know.
Damn.
That's what you do.
No.
Oh, that's not true.
No.
Come on, yo, Pam.
Yo, here's the drop back. Can I just hit a drop one more time? I'm sorry, Park. We got you wearing a lot of hats, man. Our codes left. I didn't know they were leaving heads out. Come on, man. You're wearing a lot of hats.
I'm glad Parks held
Hey, yo, you really gonna get Yeah, come on. We gotta get a drop.
Hold on.
You come here, yo. This guy's nuts.
New ice and fish.
Oh, he's so stupid.
Nah, that's hard. Wait, before we leave the Aaron Donald topic, how close are y'all with you guys as Eskimo brothers that you recruit throughout the years?
That's an important question.
You just go. What does an Aaron topic have?
Well, that's where it all stems from, the podcast.
Yeah, I was saying that you gotta watch out for dudes. Like I explained this earlier, and I circled back.
I have some Eskimo brothers.
That you're pretty fly with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Ace Bone Coon.
Yeah.
You
There's
too,
some,
Parks?
yeah, there's some that are ops.
How about you, Ish? I know you come from a long lineage. I know you got a lot of fam out there at the family reunion.
You included at the cookouts, nigga.
Me? Would you?
Yo, Joe, is that what we doing here?
I don't know. Yo, that's my new shit. Let me tell you, my girl loves our Patreon page. Yo, she say, yo, y'all are cooking on Patreon. I love these topics. I'm like, I bet, bitch. First of all, I'm gonna block your ass. Come in, stop reading and looking at this shit. And she's like, oh no, I light up when my little phone say notification. Joe Budden has uploaded something new on Patreon.
Notification?
Yeah, man. So now my plan is anytime Ish or Maul or anybody that do that sucker MC shit where they drag you down in the mud with you. I just act like I have no recollection. Like what? What happened?
You could bring up a
What
topic.
you say?
You could bring up a topic. And you said, Ish, you got a long line of lineage. But you just not a part of
But you don't have to cop to that. That is me throwing paint at a wall. It may or may not be funny to someone
I'm
out
the
there.
wall.
But you, but you don't have to cop. You don't have to confirm or deny it. Now, when you respond and say, "Yeah, nigga, you was one. We paid fucking Justine the number stack. We both tore it down." I'm like, you confirm. Confirming, Rory, come on. Rory and Mo, come on. Come on. Nigga out here confirming shit. You know, confirming. We Eskimo brothers.
How many times y'all brothers?
Me and I don't know because he won't tell me. Look,
You were a train on
Look,
That's
look.
y'all brothers.
I'm not trained, dude. Stop bringing up trains with me.
Y'all brought up the trainers before.
Y'all didn't do nothing. He did that. He's well trained by himself. Yeah,
Wow.
I prefer to be intimate alone, just me and her. Just her and I. In the bathroom. Hey, wherever you gotta be, Bart. Wherever you gotta be.
I like the bathroom sex.
It's not fucking judging me.
But he gonna say, we paid whoever name you said. A stack. I don't speak French either, nigga. That wasn't we. That might have been you.
It's you. See, it's used to come up short with his half passport money, too. Hey, it's somebody. I got you got cash on you? Yeah, nigga. I do. Every time. That is what this transaction was about. It was us having cash. Some fucking. Nigga, what do I gotta run to the ATM? Nigga, you fucked up. You fucked up. What's wrong with you? He probably didn't realize the time you fucked, right? Why we stop doing that? What? Oh, chicks gain weight. Why we stop? All right, come on. Now we moving on. It's a joke. Ha ha.
You stop. I thought your new nickname was Cash App Jack.
It's because we're sponsored by Cash App. That's why.
Pardon me, bro.
I don't do that anymore. So stop it. Hey, this ain't Patreon. You giving it up. You giving it up out here. Enough of you. Moving right along. We done talking about dude getting his ass kicked by Aaron Donald. We covered that. Yeah, we done.
He need to be shamed and ridiculed.
Talking to the mic, please.
He need to be shamed and ridiculed. Starting to fight.
Get your picture.
He always up with his sling on his arm, talking to the reporters. After you threw a bomb. Come on, that's cool.
Judge should laugh that shit out of the courtroom.
Yeah.
Listen,
That shit.
I got in a lot of trouble on our last podcast from my mom. She didn't really find my Alexander O'Neill bit amusing.
This picture was not funny.
I said he's 90 years old. She wanted to come tell me he's 67. She said it wasn't right. She said I owe him an apology. So, Alexander O'Neill, if you're listening out there and you're not re-recording Saturday Love, I do apologize for how I spoke to you. Now, that don't excuse some of the rest of you niggas.
You found another one?
And I found another one. Actually, someone out there said, listen, if you had a blast with Alexander O'Neill, wait till you hear what Jay Holiday did. Hey, if you're listening out there, I love you for riding, especially through turmoil, but let me let you know, we don't have anything serious to talk about.
Word.
There's nothing serious to discuss. We're recording before Friday, so we don't know what music dropped. We don't even really care. I do know that Moneybag Yo is coming 423.
What's up?
We're gonna talk about it.
All right, good.
All right, what else is there that's extra silly for us to talk about? Bobby Shmurda.
Yeah, Bobby Shmurda.
Nordachi!
Look doesn't know what's going on with Bobby Shmurda, right?
Do you know who Bobby Shmurda is, Ish?
Yeah, we gotta ask.
In 2014, a song hit the top of the chart
Oh, snap.
Hot nigga. Then he went away.
It's a raid party.
You know who it is?
Yeah, nigga.
All right, listen, man.
Thanks, Venom.
I don't know. Bobby Schmurder came home. He's been chilling, living his best life, having a blast everywhere. He's been in studios.
Wow, thanks, Venom.
He's been with the rappers.
Thanks, Nardachi.
He's been with everybody. But here come you shady ass blogs.
Man, I gotta. Let me turn that off for a second, or pause it for a second. Yeah, so I was working on another environment for this map. Just to break it down real quick, I put together this map, and then after I put together the map, I started working on concept art for the environments, where I'll zoom in on these environments and actually like capture what's going on within them. You know, get more perspective, and then I work on characters and everything like that. But yeah, you know, I do small work just so I can keep it quick. You know, that way I could fit a whole piece in a single stream most of the time, and yeah, so that's all I'm doing, working on some environments that goes on in this land, and yeah, man, I hope y'all enjoy. I got whatchamacallit, the Joe Budden podcast playing in the background. You know, I really don't have much to talk about, really. You know, I've been listening to this one podcast that I just discovered the other day, and I listened to like 5 episodes in a row because it was all talking about Final Fantasy VIII, and I finally finished that just like a little bit ago. So yeah, man, I just been chilling and pushing out this art. But yeah, man, thanks for the raid. Yeah, it's the second map I ever drew too. So I'm like super nervous when I work on maps. So I really wouldn't even know how to explain or help. I could just say like good luck. Have you drawn maps before, Nardachi? Check out progress. Sometimes work on my own stuff. Yeah, I feel you. Have you ever worked on a map before? Cause yeah, that's the second map I ever drew. So I don't feel like that's something I could be like, oh yeah, this is what you want to do. This is what you got to do. Nah, I like to be helping people. Like back in high school, that's what's up, man. Well, damn, you have more map experience than I do. Then shit, you could probably give me some pointers. I just ended up like watching some YouTube stuff, and you know, there's like map generators out there, and things that take into account like where cities would be located and things like that. So after like just deep diving on that stuff on YouTube, that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna draw a map. I'm gonna figure this out. And yeah, man, you're seeing the fruits of that labor. But yeah, this environment that I'm working on in particular is another one that's related to this piece that I did for that beetle character that I worked on. This is another one. Um, and these are going to be pretty much the only 2 environments that I have for that character. And this is kind of like a production line, or like a production like factory, or whatever you want to call it. Um, and yeah, that's all it's supposed to be. So it's like this giant robot that just pieces things together. So hopefully it looks something like a production line where this guy's just you know, putting together like an assembly line. So he almost looks like a toy maker. So he's like a Peter Griffin. But yeah. But aside from that, man, I'm just chilling, cruising along on this one, and yeah, listening to the Joe Budden podcast in the background. And these guys are clowning right now. So.
Y'all shady ass vlogs. Y'all couldn't wait to see him hooked up with his white girl. You got him a little white girl who's pretty happy to be with him. And you know that when they run in the bathroom and take all the pictures and then come back out. I mean, they post the pictures. She did that. Yeah, I think she had his chain on in the bathroom. Like, why don't you just go pee? They will do everything. They will do everything in the bathroom but pee. But okay. So the blogs posted Bobby Shmurda and his white girl. The fans went crazy, started killing him, saying, "Oh, this is what you rose you came right home to this." So
Damn.
he posted a response.
That's fucked up.
Yo, I don't even know Shorty. That's my man's chick. That's my man, girl. She was a little extra. She bugged out. I'm single. Yeah, And I thought that was pretty funny.
Smooth. I was cracking up when I saw that.
How you know he lying?
Nigga,
Your man's girl.
It's the same
Chain on.
Yeah.
Multiple
it's
kisses.
the same chick that was holding him down while he was locked up. She posted all this shit, we know. When he picked him up, she was right there. Boom. It's your shorty. For whatever reason you say it's not, I don't know, that's your shorty, bro. So it's funny,
Well, he said that's not his shorty. He don't know her.
he said that's his
But if it was, I mean, shit, he went to jail. He sat up for 6 years. When you come home,
I don't know
it is what it is,
I don't
right?
know what the problem is.
Well, because you're part of the problem.
So what's the problem?
Y'all
How so?
that come home and sleep with these colonizers.
Ah.
Bring it back a little bit.
Listen,
First is wait, where did I come home from?
they own.
To use a random map generator, come up with a base. Yeah, that's basically what they do. Does read well as a builder. The hunched over figure, bent arms, fucking
Such a loser. I totally forgot about that part of your life. When you fell in love and moved to
Whoop.
fucking Pennsylvania.
Sorry, bumping the camera.
Nah, you said I'm never coming back. I'm never coming to New Jersey. I'm never coming back to New York.
Yeah, so as long as it reads well, then it's like, okay, cool. Then mission accomplished.
There was one taco spot out there. That was tacos. Niggas fall in love and just bug out for a minute. Yeah. We looked at Ice like, I just think you're silly. What's the name of that town? Please give me the name of that town. Yo, you couldn't even buy gas in the town.
It was horse and buggies out there.
Lancaster. I think I saw a mule out there.
That's the Amish country. Yeah.
What's that?
Did you come Amish?
You don't know what Amish is? Oh my god.
You didn't say it was Irish. Our flagger's not here. I don't know what we can and can't say.
Call Amish.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
They're Amish.
Okay.
I wasn't in the Amish section, but yeah, it was Amish country.
Did you build any barns?
Yo, did y'all hear Ice?
I didn't build no barns.
Wait, before we go any further. What is this? Somebody give me a proper definition on the Amish people.
Apparently there's
If I don't want to be offended, I'm not trying to be offensive. Let me get love cue love on top. Alright, somebody explain me. Read this definition.
I love this. He doesn't know what Amish people are.
Network of conservative Anabaptist communities that originated in Switzerland. They split from the Mennonites in Switzerland back in the day.
Like the Pilgrims.
Conservative modes of dress.
And where's the definition of Corey at?
This is
Well, the whole different orders of Amish. Old, new, that's what they said.
All orders of employers.
Give me an old order.
Just read.
We'll go
strict rules involving dress. Old order Amish communities often prohibit the use of buttons and zippers, for
Go.
example.
Oh, I'm not fucking with them if they get the buttons.
That was trash.
You can't have long hair, you gotta grow a beard.
All right, I'm done with people from the Amish.
They don't drive cars.
Ice, you moved to an Amish town in the name of love, and said you was never moving back to New York, New Jersey, and you here telling us at a podcast in 2021, nah, they had a heavy Puerto Rican population. For real? Telling us about
Oh my
the
God.
community out
I'm
there.
not talking about the Amish community. I'm saying that's
Why did you move back? What happened?
You fucked up the
I
law.
joke.
I want to joke. I want to joke. I don't want to joke. I want to joke.
I fucked it up and I moved back. I don't know. We can joke on something like that.
Did you beat her to love? Did you marry the kid? Man, you good, man. Did you beat her? You know if you beat her? Is she miserable still? She still on this shit.
Put some snacks. We'll be lurking. Hey, man, do your thing. I appreciate the raid. I appreciate you stopping by. You know, welcome, Venom. You know, sometimes I monologue, sometimes I just chill. You know, you caught me in the middle of a chill one, but who knows? Maybe you never know when I'm gonna like pause and start talking. But yeah, enjoy the stream. I'll keep my eye on the chat to address any questions or anything like that.
Y'all ain't never did no wild shit for love, man.
Not moved to Amish country.
I like driving, guys. I don't like the horse and buggies. I like driving.
What's the wildest thing Parks ever did? What's the wildest thing you ever did in the name of love, Parks? Wear a different color than black.
I put on some wild white shirt.
Come on, baby, buy the jean shirt.
Oh, man.
Ish.
That's silent bird silent. Now,
All right, don't worry, we can move on. Look, all it took was 6 bars for you to get like Marlon Bird. Look, now you don't know nothing, right?
Well, that's the question. You can answer
I'm about to. Yeah. Nobody else answer. Look, here, I'm about to. Here you go. The wildest thing I ever did in the name of love? I was doing a solid, though. I don't even want to hear this.
I was doing a solid though.
The young lady that I was, the young, beautiful lady that I was talking to, she was in the jam.
Oh my God.
My bitches be in jam. She was in a little jam, but about 3 weeks in. 3 weeks into the courtship, I took the jam like I won. Oh, you in the jam 3 weeks in? You mine. We can play.
I can lean on you in desperation.
Yeah, so she needed me. She needed me. I showed up for her, and part of that involved her moving in with her kid.
We took care of the kid.
Oh my God.
3
I
weeks.
took care of the
3
kid.
weeks.
Cool little nigga.
In 3 weeks, though.
Nigga.
And I was like 3 weeks. It might have been 2.5.
You remember?
Oh my God.
About 17 days, some give or take. Oh man, that's your move though. Man. That's his move. No, that is your move. That's not your move.
That's not.
It's
No,
not.
it's not true.
Have it again.
First of all, let me repeat
Moving them in
something.
is not your
Let
move.
me repeat something. Quick.
Why me though? Why me?
Yo, this is crazy. They're talking about having a woman move in too quick. Man, I try to talk about this one as often as possible because it's such a hurting memory. It hurts so much that I got to remind myself like how many years ago it was and how many relationships I've had since then. But still, like every now and then you run into a relationship where it's like, oh man, like, it just hurt too much. I remember I wasn't even dating this girl, man. She was just stopping by to do my hair for me a long time ago. And she ended up moving in. She ended up moving in like after day one. Like it just slowly happens, and then you just sit there and it was like, yo, how did this girl go from like doing my hair to like trying to get one of my drawers out of on my dresser and shit like that? Yeah, man. Some chicks is wild like that. But that's hilarious. These guys talking about that. I try to talk about that relationship as much as possible because it's still traumatic. So I just wanted to like bring that up and say it, put that out there, get that energy off me, you know. Oh, bad relationships. Whew. Man, that was a 6 month. It turned from a 1 day to a 6 month thing. Oh my god. But
I thought I was helping your recollection.
terrible.
Now that you remember, oh, here come Parks. Here come Parks. Want to cue in a song that he thinks makes sense right here. Remember? All right, so I moved the chicken. I took care of her kid. It lasted a little while. Kid was a cool dude.
He was.
I was in support of, you know what I mean? I'm always in support of his dad. So, I mean, I thought I was in pretty good little. Hey.
Woo.
Hey. I was definitely in support of the dad here.
On this record.
And let me tell you, I
Woo.
think I'm the
Excuse
only
me.
guy in the world that ever made a song from this perspective. As a guy taking care of somebody else's kid, I think that's hard. Hold on. I'll be at the mall. Look at me. All right, turn this off. I don't want to hear it. Turn this off. Look at me. So I'm sleeping. Don't worry. You will hear me spending early. I'm at the mall with somebody else's kid.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah, so that's the crazy. You still didn't answer.
You really
You still didn't answer. You didn't answer. You still, but you, all right, we finished mine. Now you can answer. Now, what's the craziest thing you ever did in name love?
Shit.
Yeah. Now you talk into the microphone is what you do.
Honestly,
Pretty guy told me. Yeah.
damn.
Damn, that's probably nothing, right?
That is some wild shit.
How'd that even happen? Bless you. Man. Ah. Oh man. You know, just people know people, and I have locks for my hair, and I was when I first got them, I was paying a professional to do them, and I was like, man, I can't afford these professional prices anymore. So I needed somebody else to do them, and man, these old stories gonna really make me look bad. And I had a coworker whose cousin could do hair, so I was like, all right, cool. And yeah, her cousin came by to do my hair. Paid her. She never left. So I just ended up with this girl in my place. And yeah, I was just like, well, if she's gonna hang out, then we're just gonna hook up. And then she just like moved in. Like we just hooked up one time, and I don't know. I guess some girls is just like, oh, we're married now after one hookup. And me at that time, this is back when I was in my 20s. It was just like, oh no, that's not that's not what was supposed to happen. Like you're supposed to do my hair, get paid, and then I'll see you later. And yeah, just that's how that happened, man. So you got to learn your lessons. Some of them you learn the hard way. So yeah, don't do that anymore. Actually, it's funny because it was after that I learned like, okay, I just got to do my own hair from now on. So I don't even have people do my hair for me anymore. I just do my own hair. I had to teach myself how to do that. Oh my god. But yeah. It's but that's how that happens, man. Life just happens fast before you even know it. People just have plans where they scheme and plot against you. And there's more details to it, of course, but I don't want to get into all that, man. That's an old story. Sometimes I feel like it just happened yesterday. That's how I know it's still traumatic to me. And yeah, I mean, to get into why it was traumatic, it just ended up in court with like restraining orders and things like that. Like it was just, whew, it was a bad one. Every now and then you might get trapped into a bad relationship. I do not wish that on anybody, honestly. But yeah, it's gonna happen. But yeah, now I'm thinking about it, they're talking about things, crazy things that you did in the name of love, and I'm like, man, that was just love, doing it in the name of me. Love doing crazy in the name of me, something like that. But yeah, so I was like, okay. I mean, even to this day, like my mom just joked about it the other day, where she was like, "Oh yeah," she was like, "Don't invite any girls over. They'll never move out." So, yeah, that's happened. But I always just have to always remind myself, like, oh yeah, I've dated and seen people after her. It's that way it's not so. Yeah, exactly. So I just have to constantly remind myself, like, oh yeah, that's so far behind me. It's almost like 10 years ago. I can't even really think about it because I'm in my early 30s and I want to say I was probably in like my mid 20s because I got my locks about 11 years ago, and I had the professional for maybe not even a year. So that means 10 years ago, yeah. God damn it, was it 10 years ago? It might have been 10 years ago. Something that happened 10 years ago is like still just in my brain to this day of like, hey, you remember that time you messed up? Remember that time you invited a crazy chick over your house? Uh, but yeah, it happens, man.
You are a bitch niggas, bro.
You ice
So yeah, long story short, I do my own hair now.
Yeah, I'm about to save that drop to my phone.
Oh my god.
Stop it, too much laughing. Yeah, allegedly. Okay.
How do you end up in somebody's house with a weapon? Did you live there?
Oh.
Stay there pretty regularly.
So yeah, never again.
Oh, you was in there acting like, what happened? So just give us a quick version. We'll move right along. We know you're in a happy relationship. We wouldn't want to jeopardize that
It's all
today.
bullshit. When I was in college, I was in college.
95,
I was in college.
94.
College, yeah. I was fresh out of college.
Um, she got caught cheating.
She got caught. You caught her. How you caught her?
The nigga was from up top. We was in college in Maryland. And the nigga was from around my way. Damn, so she had a type.
Oh my god. She has a type.
He had nice eyes too. I put it together.
Nah, so for real, so the nigga that came to Baltimore.
Look, for real. You ain't got closure from it yet.
Nah,
Alright, go ahead, son.
stupid, yo. Nah, he came down there, we had a fight.
He came to Maryland to fight you?
Oh, he go to school there. He just came down there to fight you. Came cheating. Oh, he came down there to see her.
Oh,
Shit.
he must have
But you was sweet money.
No, he didn't.
Not if he came to the school to beat and he know you go
He
to the
didn't go to
school.
school. She had her own apartment. She lied.
After school.
She lied and act like she was out of town. So supposedly she was
That's the
out of
best
town.
lie, too.
What?
I've had a girlfriend of mine drop me at the airport.
Yeah, my flight is at 10. Early, damn, I might miss it. You gonna drop me off?
Yeah, you gonna drop me off, I'm gonna walk right down with taxi.
Right to the tackle.
I'm at home. No, she's home. Going to the new home. Ain't no second, no, this is all back in the days, of course.
All right.
All right, what else we got? We 45 minutes in on absolutely nothing. What else? Did we finish murder with the white girl? Oh wait, the funny part about the funny part about the white
All right,
girl.
what color is? Nah.
The funny part was when she.
Oh shit.
When she.
I'm forgetting to take my pictures too.
You do know.
There we go.
Picked you up from jail.
Whoops.
She said I picked you up from jail. Told you. And then the fans found all the pictures of her holding him down in jail.
She joined. It's all right. We don't care.
Niggas love running with the white girl.
That's y'all thing, man.
Y'all. I don't be public with my.
Yo, where's the micro pen at? There we go.
Shout out to Bobby Schmurder, man. All right, what else is going on out there? What else is going on?
What else we got?
There's a Diddy topic that I won't touch. I ain't bringing it up.
What's that? Yeah.
I mean, I ain't touching it.
What is the topic, though?
Whatever it is, anything with Diddy, anything having to do with Diddy, I ain't touching it. I'm sick of my character being attacked every time I take a stance on something.
Well, you don't take a stance. You don't act like your character gets attacked.
That's not true. But that's
You take a stance.
that's not true. I do take a stance. They're just not agreeable with my stance. They think that my stance on all matters pertaining to Puff contradicts what my stance is in all matters, and that's just not true. Not true.
Your stance on matters.
Joe Budden has contracts with Diddy and working relationship and things like that.
Like, yo, Puff shall. Hey, even if that's
You
true,
immediately said, no, this ain't about Puff.
even if that's true, that's not Joe's reaction to men in the world, in life, not with Puff, with any man. When I'm talking about a man, I don't go to what another man should do to help that person. I don't do that. I go with, can I help? Or do I not want to help? That's it. I told y'all stories, hey, and it's not about me coming off the cleaners. I told y'all stories about me being at the gas station, not wanting to, when they asked me, you want to support the truth? No, nigga, I don't. Like, I'll tell you when I'm, so that's not because, hey, I won't say nothing bad about Puff. It's fam. Their relationship precedes me. I haven't spoken to Puff about Black Rob. I don't know how they feel about each other. I don't know where they left off. I don't know nothing.
Rest in peace, Black Rob, man. I just saw the news today. He passed, man. That sucks.
Look at Itch and say, yo, you gonna help? All right, you're not gonna help? That's
You know, I man, that's something that kind of stuck with me because I'm still kind of like I'm okay with it now, but I'm still kind of reeling from the DMX passing. You know, I was even just talking about it yesterday, and singing a song talking about because I follow Busy Bone on YouTube and things like that, and how Busy Bone posted the song that he did with DMX maybe over a decade ago. And I was like, I have that album and stuff because I'm super into Bone Thugs and Harmony, and yeah, it was I'm still reeling from DMX passing, and then you hear about Black Rob having I forget how many like seizures or heart attacks, whatever it was, and how he's in a hospital and he had a Kickstarter going. This is all recently. This is all within like the past week, and it's like, oh man, prayers for Black Rob. If you don't know who Black Rob is, hopefully you know who DMX is. But if you don't know who Black Rob is, he was a rapper back in the day, and most known for his one-hit wonder song. But it's still a good song to this day, man. You put it on, and the beat is so good too. He did the song Like Whoa. It might just be called Whoa, or it might be called Like Whoa. I forget. But it's a song that's like like whoa, and like every line where he's always just saying like whoa. And this is back in the 90s and shit. So yeah, man, rappers drop off, they disappear, they make their money, they get their residuals, and then you kind of never hear from them again. It is what it is, but it's sad when you hear about them because that's what happened with DMX. Like I talked about it on the DMX stream. You go, I don't know how many back, like I think it was episode 101 that I worked on the DMX the DMX whatchamacallit, portrait that I did, and I kind of talk about him there, and everything that he meant to me, and all the things like that. Black Rob less so. Like I said, he was like a one hit wonder. He had the one song, but still, I mean, it's a hell of a song. That shit comes on in the club, like everybody knows it, and I had this bad shit. She was down like whoa, but yeah, he so you hear that he's like in the hospital after like a fourth heart attack or a fourth stroke or something like that, and they had the Kickstarter going for him. I saw the news. I think it was this morning, and they said he passed. So rest in peace, God bless, and all that. You know, DMX was 50, Black Rob was 51. It's good. There's two things that I think about. I think about how it's good that like rappers are living to like an older age than than they usually do. Thinking about back in the '90s, Eazy-E dying, Tupac, Biggie, Big Punisher, uh, Old Dirty Bastard. Like you think about all these rappers, they died, when they're still young in their career, when they're still young themselves, like in their 20s and things like that. And rappers are still dying in their 20s, whether it's ODing or gunshots or anything like that. It sucks. But at least there's just some progress with like a little bit more longevity for these rappers and things like that. And it still sucks because 50 is still early. You look at some 50-year-olds, and the 50-year-olds these days are looking healthier and healthier than they did 10, 20, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a 50-year-old would have looked like a 100-year-old nowadays. You know what I mean? People that are 50 now are healthy as hell. Well, I shouldn't just say that like a blanket statement across the board, but you know what I mean. Like, because I listen to a lot of podcasts like Joe Rogan and things like that. So, there's a lot of like healthy people on his podcast. So he talks to a lot of them. So I'm exposed to a lot of them. And it's because of all the health stuff, as far as like diet and exercise goes, that people are healthier in their 50s these days. So yeah, even though it's bittersweet. Rappers are living longer, but they're still dying early, relative to other people their age, just other adults, you know. And rest in peace, Black Rob.
Not my place. I would do that.
I did retweet the David Curry contact.
Yeah. Mark Curry confirmed that. Well, in his statement, he said, "Well, we know you're trying to help, but call me." Guess what? When the topic came up in my head, and I want to talk a little bit, I would think that Puff would help. Every time these topics come up with Puff, who I know him to be, I would think he would help. The May shit, Black Rob, whenever it comes up, I think he would do it. But what if he don't? You don't have to. If it ain't on. I'm saying I can't make these decisions for people. Absolutely. I can't speak to why people do or don't do certain things. I can only tell you how Joe feel. I'm getting this now with the podcast. Every day it's 100 people saying, "Yo, what's up with Maul and Rory?"
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me. I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm getting tired of that.
But no. But say from the fans' perspective, right? From the fans' perspective, you could comment on other things that don't really pertain to you, i.e., Kid Cudi, right? So they feel if you can take such a strong stance on Kid Cudi, you should be able to objectively say that Puff made money from Black Rob.
Mm.
We all can agree, yes? I'm not saying that.
I would assume so.
I would assume so. That's a pretty
I would
reasonable.
assume so.
Okay. So now, for this man to be homeless, you sat on the pod the other day and said you still make money from Pump It Up, right?
Sure, but yeah,
Okay. So
not a
Whoa,
lot.
Pump It Up is bigger than Whoa, but Whoa was in the.
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree.
Whoa was
Whoa
up there.
in that
Discussion.
hit range.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pump It Up is publishing money, right? Like Def Jam owns Pump It Up, and I wouldn't expect anybody to go up to Def Jam and do a march to say, "Hey, give Joe Budden Pump It Up." That I signed something, they own it. That's the end. I still get my royalties from it. I still get my pub from it, whatever.
Oh my God.
What did I got?
I was there. I was there. But it wasn't, that's my point. It wasn't a big to-do shindig. You know, people used to make a joke, oh, y'all being cool with Joe, but you don't want to go to the pool party. Like, it's not one of those things. I don't care if I never go to the party. I've never been to Rock Nation brunch. Like, for y'all to paint me as the guy that pander to sustain a relationship, suck my dick. Are you kidding me? These can't be people familiar with me. But I die on the mental health hill. Always.
Yeah.
I'll die on the hill of fighting for creators. But the caveat to that is not all of them. Not all of them. And I'm not out here just creator. Now some of you niggas is wild.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Some of you niggas find some shit. You're thinking, your process, your path, your journey is different. You gotta bump your head yourself.
And some labels and executives have a valid claim in ownership or whatever.
Again, a contract.
When Quavo and
QVC.
quality control looked like they were having a dispute, I came in here and shut the fuck up. I ain't say a word. Y'all know how I feel about artists that are in that jam, but I didn't say anything because I understand. Like, I can't put a value on what quality control did for Migos. When it comes to Puff, and I swore I don't want to talk about this, so y'all can take this from me. I know you can talk about Puff, but when it comes to Puff, way before I got a Revolt gig, I felt like you could spot what he brings to an artist and their albums every time he does it. Sorry, audience, Joe puts a value to that, not because I work with Duke.
Well, you can see that. Like, you talk about us in this room, minus you, pardon me, sir, and make us a group. And the album would be art. Like I said, he has a gift for music that's damn near untouched.
We use the 112 example.
Back in the day, though, 112 had a little talent.
But I'm talking about
112 has talent.
I'm talking about
112 wasn't 112 when they went to Def Jam.
that's what I'm saying.
When Puff got taken away from that, and let's not just Puff shit before y'all could get into whatever's happening with Black Rob and him. Lastly on the Puff shit, again, like I said, it's Steve Stout. If Puff was still out here practicing some of those same business habits, I would kill him. And let me tell the audience that privately and in confidence, him and I have spoken, and he applauds that I come in here and say whatever the fuck I want to say regarding him. He don't hold me to that. I'm respectful, but I tell the truth. You think he loved what I had to say when that nation was going on?
Mm.
But guess what? It's my job to talk to the people. I don't run and fucking hide when the topic comes. I'm gonna tell you what I think. And hopefully the people that love me and respect me know that I'm doing my job and it's nothing personal. The end. Rest of you niggas that think my character ever changes around any man, y'all got Joe real fucked up.
I mean,
I'm one of the last ones. I'm one of the last that don't. You niggas live in a world of niggas that do that. You know how many men I've seen become somebody else around other men?
Yeah.
They want to have an honest conversation. I get offended when y'all talk to niggas such as myself like that. You know how many of these new modern age men I've seen become somebody else around somebody else? If we're asking how I lose respect for people, that's how. Because I know you, nigga. And what I've seen you being in this instance, that instance, it just looked different. Y'all don't do that. Now I'm on a rant. You were saying.
No, I'm saying people
These
have
fucking motherfuckers. I hate them. I hate every one of them.
people
Oh,
think
man.
that you tiptoe around people that you have those relationships with. You know, same thing was said before about Eminem. You would not say, you know,
Mm.
some bullshit at times. You wouldn't call him on it, you wouldn't say it. And it took a while for you to get to it. So yeah, people see that history, didn't see Puff do or a topic come up where they may consider that it was some bullshit, or not saying he did or didn't do some bullshit, but it's something that you think a certain way about. You would not say anything. So that's why they would say, yo,
Something like that.
Joe's dancing around puffing.
And Joe would say something like that. I'm done explaining this shit to you niggas. And my issue when that big shit came out wasn't the nation, it was the timing of it. Like Puff is up there at the BMI Awards saying all artists gotta get paid. Every time they kill him is when he fighting for artists.
That's right.
My issue. Hey.
logical argument.
No, it's not.
It is, though.
I submit to your premise. Let's say that's true. How many artists does that help versus hurt in that instance? If you can do what you just said, does that help the artist or does that hurt the
What
artist?
did I just say?
We have one of our prominent male, successful, billionaire black business owners at an award show saying something that nobody would have the opportunity or the guts to say.
Indeed.
I would say, guess what? I ain't that fucking successful to be up here. But he is. And he went up there and he said it. And before he said it, I assume he hit a few real niggas to say, yo, this is what I want to say. How do you feel about it?
And they said,
And know what real niggas said?
rock out.
Do it. And he did it. Sorry, this ain't the time for me to bring up the Locks deal. This ain't the time for me to bring up Black Rock. It's the time for me to bring up Mace.
But to them people
Sorry.
see this
Sorry.
that, and
It's
you know
too
when you
many-
chose me, you can't pick and choose. You can't pick and choose
Come
when
on,
you
let's
take
get
a moral.
political.
Yeah, you can't pick
Come
and
on,
choose
let's
when you
bring
take
it.
the moral high ground. You can't pick and choose. You gotta
But
be
that's
that
not.
way.
But that's not moral high ground.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. If that's who you are today, consistently is. If every time, wait, time out. Let me just get this off. You talk. If every time you build a house from 2001 on, it's the best house in the world, and the realtor's saying, yo, Ish built this house. It's the shit. But those 3 houses you built in '93,
8%.
that was a little shady. Foundation was off. You was just learning. If they bring that up throughout the rest of your real estate career, is it right?
No.
Go.
Not gonna.
Watch this though.
You're not gonna say
Say, watch this.
Come on.
Nah. If you gonna buy it, just say, watch this.
So watch this.
I'm watching.
No, listen.
You be right before that shit. Go ahead. Get the shit off.
So, if I acknowledge in '93 that I did some shoddy work, right, and somebody suffered behind that shoddy work, I'm gonna, in my now 2021, wealthier, more established, more craftsman than I was in '93, I'm gonna go back and rectify that situation. Or I'm gonna make a conscious effort and a deliberate effort to go back and rectify that situation. I'm not gonna keep the people in the same fucked up foundation's house. That's their argument.
But that's Joe's argument too. We can't have the same argument. We just finish it and you can go. Watch this.
Watch this. Stupid. Stupid.
Double watch. How about that? Ish. That's my problem too. When Loon came home.
Sound like Aaron Yeager
Down over here, after 20 years or wherever he was at locked up.
talking to Reiner.
He didn't know who he was with. Well,
Okay.
when Mace did that bullshit, not bullshit, it was how he felt. I mean, not that, that was Mace. When Mace said, hey, blah, 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 after Puff gave that award, you know where he was at the day before? Whip off. That says to me, hey, him and Kiss, Sal, cool today. That kind of says to me that somebody maybe took some steps behind the scenes to change things or rectify it. Or now, because these powerful people don't come out and publicly say shit all the time, like, I get that. But I've actively watched Puff and Low, and I want to stop this because I heard him did right. But I watched them two niggas go out of their way to keep in touch with all of the artists. Artists they have no business dealings with. Like, there is a healthy rapport that some of the OGs are trying to reestablish with the next generation. And yeah, they made a lot of mistakes. Both of them, all of them. I don't think that is to affect all of the new artists that they have the ability to help today. And if you want to call Joe a snake for that, if you want to say I'm compromising.
Yeah, that's new artists. What about the old ones? That's what we're talking about. Black Rob is old.
Suck my balls.
Mace is old.
Moved to Yamish Town with Ice and his ex-girl who still lives there with a new Amish king. Yeah, goddammit.
And prayers up to Black Rob.
And prayers up to Black Rob, man. Salute.
They must have recorded this before the news of him passing out came. Passing.
Fuck your ass up. I'm gonna let it come be
The icicles.
I see ice cream issues. Ice trade against school issues. The issues. Issues is dope.
You can't spell
Ish.
issues without it.
Yeah, you can't spell issues without ish.
That's that Jersey City spelling.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Everybody knows school person in school to work that way.
Which school?
Yeah, you know,
Jersey
Bergen school and Bergen school and Newark. There was a Bergen school in
Nigga said he
Newark.
went to Bergen High School in Newark.
There was a Bergen High School in Newark. No, it wasn't. I'm telling y'all something. Well, this is a worldwide podcast. Number one, so the people in Africa might not hear about what we're saying. Number two, Ice, I was outside way longer than you. I was fucking way before you, fighting way before you. I had a uniform on at the Bergen School in Newark.
That's not the
We
Bergen
never, no, man, I ain't go to Bergen Catholic. You're gonna swear. Don't say I went to Catholic school again. Don't say I went to Catholic school again and you was in Youngstown. They still attacking buddies.
Yo, dog. There's no Bergen School in Newark.
There's no Bergen school, bro. Okay. Somebody out there listening knows that there was a Bergen school in Newark. Don't worry about it. Or is it Irvington then?
That's ish. I wouldn't know any.
No, anyway, moving right along. Moving out of New Jersey onto something that the people might care about. It's getting real comfortable pod. Now he's peeking his little light skin head over. And he was trying to see what's going on. So
Oh
listen,
my
really
God.
Quickly, I want to take a few seconds to address something that's been troubling my spirit. Something that's been weighing heavy on my mind, soul. I want to take this time out to talk to a gentleman by the name of Skills. For those of you who may not be familiar, Skills is
From Skills and Play.
long-time MC,
From Skills and Play?
Virginia. He is known and popular probably for his year-end wrap-ups that he's done for a long time until they were snatched away from him like candy from baby. And now Uncle Murder does the year-end wrap-ups. I'm not saying that to be funny. Skills was recently on the Noriega Drink Champs podcast. Noriega still hasn't called me back from the other day.
He's not holding you back. He's not
Never,
holding
right?
you. Totally.
He used to always call me back. When I used to get out from Miami, he used to take me to restaurants, crab shacks and
You
shit.
seen that drink picture?
Strip clubs.
Damn, how do I want to do
He
this?
was big out
Did
there.
he have a drink? Shit,
Alright.
put it.
Not then.
Let's do it like that.
It's different now.
It's different. It's not calling you.
Well, Skills did Nori's podcast, and this is what he had to say about Joe Budden.
Joe Budden is not.
I'm Joe Budden.
Talking about rapper rankings.
Look, rappers never even heard of that. Rappers never even heard of that. I want to point that out. He's in a room with very accomplished MCs. And they never even heard of that idea that Joe Budden is doodle juice. But listen, I'm 40 years old and I've grown. I'm not 30 anymore. I won't make the same mistakes. And I realize that my words hurt people.
Did Doodle Juice hurt you?
No.
Okay. So he works hurt.
And this is the thing. I know that Skills is a very decorated and accomplished MC. The same way that Skills knows that Joe is a very decorated and accomplished MC. Skills said something about me in a wrap-up. I didn't like it. I said something back at the end of the pod. I'm assuming he heard it. So now he's doing this on the Nori interview. It's called Doodle Juice. I will not feed into the cycle. And I'm going to stop this now. Because I don't rap. And Skills, you don't rap either, really. We both old, nigga. It's over now.
We both old.
And I'm not going to perpetuate this any further. I will accept Skills calling me Doodle Juice. And I will not say and do what I
I would
typically
say Doodle Juice.
would say, because he knows better.
Turn red?
No, man.
Like,
None
throw
of
your
it.
hat, start swinging.
Nothing. Is that what I normally do?
Yes.
I'm not gonna do that. Shout out to Skills, man. I wish you nothing but the best. say it don't believe, the people that say it don't believe that. Like, we don't really believe that. All the dudes that ever said I was real trash, like Skills, Lil B, like, they don't believe that. When the beef is over, they come to me and say, yo, dog, you that dude.
He might have made
Skills and I have had that conversation on the phone before where we both called each other that dude, so I'm not gonna play these public games.
He might have just made today. That's all. Today you're not top 5. Today you probably are doodle juice. No, he said.
Damn. You probably are doo-doo juice.
But that's okay.
That's so
And
rude.
only in rap are things insults that shouldn't be. There are 30 million rappers.
You said you wouldn't make it stop hungry. So
Yeah, doo-doo juice is kind of rude. That's kind of rude.
Rap is a subjective.
I hurt my feelings. Someone called my work doo-doo juice.
that's how
I probably laugh, but I cry a little bit.
Yeah, like, come on,
say
man.
podcaster Joe.
Skills, shout out to
Jumping in
you,
and
man.
throwing his hat.
Nori, shout out to you for never even having heard of such a preposterous proponent. That shit wasn't palatable, is it, at all? That nigga Nori said, wait, I mean, top 5, yeah, but I mean, I never even heard of that.
When was this recorded?
Who knows? Before Drake.
He might feel different.
Nigga went from Skills to Drake.
Niggas might feel different.
Shout out to Nori, man. He's on a hell of a run. His podcast is on a hell of a run out there. Salute to all of y'all. That's why I wanted to thank the fans and shout out to the fans, man. The fans, the job y'all have done of just supporting and staying there and staying strong and just fucking with dudes even through turmoil and sabotage and all types of other shit, man. I have to tip my hat to y'all. I really appreciate y'all, and it speaks to the relationship that's been built over the years, and I don't take it for granted, nor would I want anyone else to ever take that for granted.
Hey, man, what I'm
So
learning,
thank y'all.
what I'm learning is the fans love this shit. Like, they are heavily invested. They, like, it's a level that I didn't even realize they would get to.
Yeah, even through all the
This shit is
turmoil
nuts.
and shit.
I mean, I'm not, like, just me and Ish sitting here, bro, the shit that's being, they love, they live and breathe this shit. Like, they are serious. So, shout out to y'all. Again, we ain't asked to come sit here. People left and we sat here. So, take your issues with them.
But that's why I really fuck with Rory and Maul. Like, that's why those are my guys. Like, the amount of thought, boldness, and wherewithal it takes to say, yo, I notice all the other hot podcasters out there are bodying shit and killing the scene. They're going so crazy out there, I'm gonna sabotage our #1 spot. I'm gonna throw this shit all the way in the air and see where it lands. Bam, round of applause.
You gotta
Hit
respect
the
y'all.
itch in the ice drop, please. Hit the itch in the ice drop, please.
Why are they itching out here when I come back
You
again?
ice.
Oh my god. That's a nasty drop.
No, I'm just saying that affect the fans, so this is their shit. I get it. Let us breathe though. We didn't call Joe.
Nah, they're kind of cool with the Uncle podcast now. They just don't like our outfits still.
I don't give a fuck about
They
it.
don't like
Trust
your
me, I'm coming to this
flow
one with
of
sweats
choices.
and Uggs, like in Ugg slippers.
There we go. That's the beat, man. What?
I'm telling you now. I'm gonna show you some outfits. Y'all got me pumped up.
Slay into it now.
Now you got me pumped. Now we wanna play. Let's play. I can go into that bag all
What
day.
you gave him today? Come on, tell him what you wearing. What you got on today, son?
Money green, you know, a little money green. A little money.
How about you, Ish? What's that you're donning?
What's that? It's cool.
What's up, 89 Polo? It ain't even out no more, huh? Yeah, it wasn't outside. That's that polo from the Elizabeth outlets right there. Here we go. Yo, y'all on that New Jersey My podcast out. Y'all know good and goddamn well it's outlets in Elizabeth. The movie theater.
pick.
We dropped a special effect, Kevin
Oh my
Samuels
God.
episode yesterday, and boy was Ish thrilled.
Shouts to Ish.
Oh my God, in his Birkin. He was stuck. He couldn't get out of his bag. He was all the way in there.
You did that.
He's all the way in.
You always talk about Kevin. You are a rat.
I lie on the microphone.
I'm glad you're admitting
Yeah,
it.
no, it's true. Cool. How did you feel? If you listen back to that interview out there in the audience, you could hear, I know you might have thought that was Kevin doing his own ad lib, but it wasn't. That was Ish. That was Ish saying, nah, yo, you right. I be trying to tell him. Yeah, Kevin Samuels with a ooh. How did you feel, man?
How'd you celebrate? Did you like rent out a theater and bring all your closest friends and family?
I think that pod is going platinum. You gotta hang that up. You gotta hang that up in Irvington.
Yo, now y'all know what chicks and Berkey is cool.
Oh man.
I know. All right, we know. Yeah,
Kevin Samuels, how did you think? I know we caught a lot of heat for even sitting down to do that interview. They say he had
Oh, Kevin Samuels. Damn.
his delivery is foul. They say a lot of things about him, and we took our happy asses right there to sit down with him.
I think that it was mad informative. I think that, well, we all can agree that he's mad smart, right? He goes back in history and he breaks down where we kind of went left with a whole bunch of different, factors that, have made women in the situations that they're in, specifically black.
Oh wait, are we blurry right now? I'm sorry.
And I agree with probably 80.
I hope
Probably about 90.
that wasn't blurry for too long.
His delivery can be a little brash, a little harsh. But all in all, he's still accurate for the most part. Everything he says.
Do you think that we all will be offered less vaginas because we
No,
I mean, we all.
I'm not.
We all
offered
relationships.
any vagina.
We all relationships.
But
Yeah, I'm not getting offered nothing out
yeah,
here.
but I'm just saying.
Believe that,
even
baby.
outside of that,
Believe that, baby girl. Oh. Yo, baby, I promise. I ain't doing nothing, baby. She lying, stink.
She lying stink. Get out of here.
I think that the real women, like women that.
Oh, damn. Caught the camera. Hold on.
A bunch of females that follow him. You can't call them
Female who?
Yeah, you can't call them
There we go.
Female what? That's the meaning of degree.
female is degraded.
Yeah.
Female what?
So it's female what?
Yeah, female what?
You missed that episode.
Yeah, just you new niggas is different.
No, Ish. No, Ish.
Wait, don't fight it. I can't lose another call. Let it go. If they cancel you, what I'm gonna do, baby?
But I think a lot of women agree with what he's saying. Like when you really sit down and look in the mirror, I think that a lot of women really agree with him. Again, his delivery can be a little rough. He told a chick she is Emmett Smith size and
Damn.
height and all of that. I think that's a little excessive.
Cause she wore the rock.
Was that her? Again, I don't know, but he's a little brash. But all in all, he's well read. He's has historical context. He has factual information for everything that he's saying. Yo, you niggas is crazy. Yo, we're not asking my opinion. You're not great. Never mind, yo.
Did we learn anything about Kevin Samuels from our interview? I said we. All of us. Not just Ish. All of us, please.
I just learned that he's headstrong in the way he thinks, man.
Yeah. And even don't call something that is strong. Don't say that about me again.
I'm just saying,
Don't- Headstrong.
We're not moving on, nigga. What do you think, Kung Fu Panda?
Kung Fu Panda.
Come on, what's up?
What do I think? I think that we conducted a really good interview. What else do I think? I think that women are some of the most beautiful creatures ever created. I think, yeah, you asked me what I think.
Ain't from a woman.
I'll be healed or I want to be
You're
real, so I
from a
want to
woman.
heal or I
Oh
wanna-
my god.
That's what I think.
I know you do. I know.
Who you calling a bitch? You're not gonna drag me down, my brother. I love women. I love sex. I love whatever they think.
Dance now. Yeah, that's you.
I don't love women, part. You do. Only you can love your girl, right? It's just you. It's only you.
love her, yes. Keep going.
No, that's it. All of us love our girls. The end.
That doesn't answer my question.
What's your question?
He's not answering your fucking question at all.
What's your question?
What was your assessment of the Kevin Samuels interview?
Not bad.
Not bad.
It wasn't bad, right? Your assessment, Ice. I think he, he believed in what he was saying. No, what was your assessment?
He has a lot of stats and historical figures to back up his argument, which is hard to. When people have stats and figures that back up their argument and you're not prepared for them, it makes it hard to argue against them.
See, my thing about stats and figures is the makeup of them. That's your role on that.
I don't know if you're clear on them.
Yeah, so those stats don't really.
I agree. That's my point. Is that when people bring up stats and arguments and did you read the book on the what you watched from the '60s? I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
I am in a room with a bunch of cowards. We all left that interview like, yo, that nigga's the man.
No,
Now everybody in here doing the Savion Glover tap dance and they not saying that. Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, but stop snitching and talk about what we all did. Don't talk about what we all did. I was sleep.
Oh man. Alright, so just in case you guys don't know, anybody who's watching, listening to this. So they had Kevin Samuels on the Joe Budden podcast recently. And a lot of people felt a lot of ways about it just because Kevin Samuels is this guy who's been on the who's been getting a lot of flack lately because he kind of gives like relationship advice to people. Like people come to him for relationship advice, so he has to sit there and break them down and talk to them and tell them what's good about them, what's bad about them, and things like that. And when you have a business that's all about, oh sorry, knocking the camera. All right, we're focused. So when you have a business that's all about kind of breaking people down, like people take it the wrong way. People kind of get in their feelings about it, like, oh, like, why you gotta hurt my feelings like that? Why you gotta say such mean things? And it's like, well, that's kind of what you were asking for. I mean, if you're trying to understand why you couldn't, oh, is that what I want to do? That is what I want to do. Now, do I do that with a color pencil? Can I do that with a marker? Let me see. So yeah, that's all. That's why they're not answering the question, because it's like, ooh, I think I can do this with the marker. It's perfect. Okay, that's gonna work for me. So yeah, I'm guessing that's why nobody's talking, because a lot of people felt the way, especially the female viewers, about having that guy on and interviewing him and letting him speak and things like that.
Yeah, Nino Brown. I told you, you can like him without us.
Yeah, you had
I like him too. I texted this morning, good morning. Nigga still hit me back.
never sold out first. They really talk.
Yeah, for real. And shout out to Kev, man. Thank you for coming to fuck with us. Ish really appreciates it. All right, listen, man. We got to get to it. This is the moment in the podcast. If you have not seen Snowfall, you should cut this off. Because I'm telling you,
Alerts.
I'm telling you.
Alerts.
I'm dropping it all.
But you late in the season.
I'm dropping it all. Cut it off. Hey, fast forward. Hit that little circle that says 15 seconds. Hit it like 100 times. Hit it like 100 times.
No more. That's only with the other company.
Wait, huh? No, that's on OnlyFans.
Oh, he's stupid.
Somebody tweeted me and was like, "That's the only thing I missed about the pod not being on."
Oh,
TV.
On Amplify.
Yeah, that.
What's the 15-second
No, it's on Amplify.
It's only with
Amplify.
They missed it being on there because
I use the podcast.
apparently
Pretty sure it's still there.
As long as it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
30 seconds. They give you 30 seconds ahead.
I don't listen to podcasts, so I don't know.
You don't listen to no podcast.
Nope.
I subscribe to them just, well, I listen to music.
Last week, I watched the episode of Snowfall when at the end he put the gun in Shorty's face. Like, yo, man, do this to me, girl. And then the shit went off, right? And then the coming attraction voice came on, and he said, "Stay tuned for scenes from next week. This is the episode before the season finale." And I said, wait, dog.
It's called the penultimate.
It just came on.
Oh, yeah.
This feels like it's been an 8-episode order. It just feels like it's going by pretty fast. I guess it aired in February, when April. It makes sense.
10 shows?
It makes sense.
Especially 40-minute episodes.
10 episodes. We are finally at the finale. Episode 9 just aired,
It turned up.
and they got right to it. Now, I saw a lot of people saying, best episode of the season. I loved it. They really turned up. We got a lot of closure. We got some answers. And great episode. And not to be that guy. That was
Yeah, what?
The main beat is still on stage.
No, it's
no,
not.
Ed. No, Ed. I don't care if he did it or not. I don't give a fuck if his dad lives or dies.
Who you talking about, Scully?
Yeah, Scully.
Scully wasn't the main.
Oh,
Scully
wait.
wasn't the main. Then he just chopped off 2 legs. Literally.
Yeah,
Scully had fucked
Yeah,
up.
where we
He
at?
ain't thinking about this shit right now.
No, he will be.
Nah.
To be clear, he will be.
Episode 10, you might think that.
Oh, fuck Scully.
Scully did crazy.
In episode 1, I was worried about. Let me give you my timeline. Episode 1, I was really worried about Scully. He seemed like the craziest psycho dude on earth. That was the last time I worried about Scully. By episode 2, I was on, oh shit, his sister. Oh shit, man boy and them got the drop. Oh shit, the two girls that ain't with no click running around killing people. Oh shit, Leon might snipe this dude. Like throughout the season, there was a whole bunch of other people that I thought were real threats. Far more than Scully after episode 1. And in episode 9, they dead all the threats I was worried about. Hey, he never beefed with Leon this season like I thought was coming. That never came.
That should have been happening.
That didn't come like I thought it was coming.
I haven't watched Snowfall at all. I hear about how good it is.
Cool, it worked out.
There's one show that has escaped me.
Might not trust him, believe the plans.
Corey. Call him by his name.
Yeah, it's Corey. It's Corey.
Hey, what's up, Nadachi? Yeah, man. Got that,
We got that fight in episode 9.
got the colors going.
Kill everybody that don't work for nobody. Now they work for Franklin. Franklin popped up in the girl house, made her kill Man Boy's dead. She didn't do it, but you know what I'm saying. Man Boy's dead. He put the gun in her hand. Hey, you do something about the bodies outside too. What else? Oh, the reporter, the Asian reporter, we took care of her. Yeah, took care of her ass. Knew that was coming. Y'all got to a lot in this 40 minutes. I don't know. I got an issue with that.
I'm not mad at that.
No,
See,
no,
also,
Some of that they could have dragged out the episode. I really don't care if the dad lived or died. I don't.
I think they dragged it out in the first 8
Yeah,
episodes.
exactly.
They were annoying me
Yeah,
in
same
the
here.
first 8 episodes, so now it was easy to tie in all the pieces.
I agree.
You get what I'm saying? So a lot of shit happened here, especially the way this nigga's holding his hands.
Oh my god.
A lot of shit happened in episode 1 through 8 that they just tied in now. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
Corey.
it's
Does that
easy.
make you Franklin?
Oh, shit.
I'm not friend. Issue man boy.
Ish.
I'm ish.
Ish Kevin said he would. You're not man boy. You Kevin boy. No, but I do love the show. I love the episode. I can't wait to see the finale. They already got re-up for the next season, so they'll be here.
Damn, there's another season?
I gotta apologize
going out like that. And she's been blowing my phone up from the minute it happened. Aha, singing memes, the whole shit. We smoking on the man boy pack, everything. So you was right, I was wrong. A lot of people were smoking on that man boy last night. Yeah, I saw a lot of that. They were smoking on man boy. The funny shit was man boy talking about some. He shot on the ground. He told me some. Oh no, this one they just gun butter. How did you know I was coming here?
Nah, they ain't that, but the nigga, they shot that nigga from the rip.
They
They
got shot.
They got shot like 8 times.
He dropped it. Was still popping shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. They didn't know I was coming. Well, you always been smart, idiot, but just not that smart. Now you dead as hell.
I knew he was gonna be in that.
And know the scene I love in TV? When the guy that been trying to kill you for years finally has you in that compromising situation, but now we're gonna talk.
Yeah, now they want to talk all that shit, and then they get it. Yeah.
I hated it.
I love that.
I hated it.
Because in my brain, when you get shot all the time, you ain't got but a few words. Better choose them wisely.
He did.
Man boy lying in there. You better put your whole life.
It's like a switch.
Yeah, see? Look at this dumb nigga. Moved to Amish town for the bitch.
Woman, sir. Lady. That's what somebody trying to not say I'm misogynist.
That's not politically correct.
Yes, it is. But that's the problem.
Oh, man.
Yes, it's politically correct. Shout out to the ladies. So that is our snowfall review, right?
Yo, what do y'all think is going to happen in the finale?
We got one niggas gonna die.
Man, it seems like the camera's barely picking up these colors. I guess like, because even when I take the picture on my phone's not picking up the colors that much either.
Well, we're going to see if Dad re-ups on his contract. If he doesn't, he's going to Cuba. If he does,
This is what was funny.
he hauled down out that door like, oh shit, she dead, they coming for me next. I'm
Yep.
get out the door.
This is what's funny about this episode.
That whole scene pissed me off, honestly.
The reporter.
How do you trust him?
Yeah.
Something's in your fucking drink.
Right.
He's a CIA agent, you know that.
I just took the words out of my mouth.
Like, come on, man. No,
Pause.
but she was talking that big dick stuff like she had him. Like, I got you. I got you. And he played right into it. Fuck them. Fuck the CIA.
But
They
it's a
abandoned me.
CIA nigga that you know they just came in and buried your whole shit. She was headstrong.
Yeah.
She was headstrong, right?
And she was miserable.
Well, she was no, but the whole season she been saying, and I'll get off this soon. The whole season she been researching the CIA dude, knows he's a killer, knows
That's
he's
my
behind
point.
him. And you meet up with dude in the diner.
He didn't meet up with him. He pulled up on her. She didn't know he was coming.
You sat there and talked to him.
And yeah, taking out you getting your story. They accepted a drink from her. Right then and there, I was like, I'm gonna rock
She got the story.
I'm gonna rock your dumb ass to sleep.
He just
I
got
knew
it
he
back.
was gonna do something in the drink. I knew it. I'm gonna rock your stupid ass.
But that was as soon as he rocked her to sleep, he pops up on Franklin and his mom. Here come dumbass Franklin. What are you doing here? Wait, what? Wait. Do you know what we have going on? Do you know what your fucking dad just did in the Hollywood Reporter, whatever that was? What are you, what? He said, what are you doing here? He said, what are you gonna do about your dad? What are we gonna do about your dad? Yeah, I'm here to find out what we're doing about your dad. Your dad's doing interviews, your dad's fucking all of this up. You kill him, I kill him, somebody gotta kill him. Now, next episode, they're gonna make the dad be like WandaVision or some tough nigga.
Nah.
Thanos.
He is a tough nigga.
The dad's a tough nigga?
He was one of the niggas that.
Oh, he was tough in the 50s.
He was tough in the 50s.
We gonna record the show.
He was tough in the 30s.
Nigga.
When was he tough? Was he
show got his rule through the.
That means he was tough.
CIA.
That means he was tough when he was in Panther.
No, he was somebody in the Panthers. You don't know the underlying story, how he killed his best friend.
School him, King. School him, King. School him, King.
Not even serious. He was somebody in the Panthers, and he got fucked up because he had to kill one of his mans. And it kind of fucked
This
him
is
up.
the general person.
Alex,
It's based on. It's based on.
No, the father.
So this is
No,
the
he's
show.
talking about character.
Oh, the character in the show. He's in the Panthers, and he had to kill his man, and et cetera, et cetera. So he kind of went and hired and fucked him up without.
Okay, I understand that, and I accept what you're saying. What I'm saying is, today, Franklin smacked the shit out of him, told him to get out of his house. Today, Franklin came to the hospital and said, yo, what the fuck you doing here? Get out of here, nigga. That ain't even your job no more, to check on your wife. Today,
Franklin.
I want to hear all that Black Panther shit today.
Today Franklin got a bang on him at all times, and Jerome got the Uzi. I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of the hospital.
All right, well, Jerome and Yamish, nigga, you can grab a gun too. Do Yamish believe in guns?
Probably
Yes, they got a mafia niggas. They just showed the Amish mafia on the screen.
With guns?
A big ass
There's
gun.
buttons on guns.
There's buttons on guns. Oh my god. Stupid.
Let me chill for the next time that's water, man. You always in something. Shut up, nigga. Dr. Phil been talking for 25 years.
Amish mafia. That is funny, dog.
Didn't Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz have a beef? No? When they fighting over Oprah?
What? Look, in the whip.
I'm not talking about honest people anymore. Moving right along, because we don't have to be here too long today. Ain't too much to talk about. And we talked about it all yesterday. See, shit like this will get me in trouble. My girl just pulled something like this out of the couch.
Oh, look, we're getting looking in the camera.
This girl moved the couch.
The fucking.
Well, if you don't do anything, there will be nothing for her to find, Joseph.
She ain't been checking the fucking levels of the alcohol levels on the counter like she a fucking bartender.
Why is the Patron loud? You don't even drink
The
that.
people came over.
I ain't know people came, but you don't live here.
How the fuck was every time I get a job? How would you know if people came over here? Oh man, how's it feel being upstairs in fucking
I was thinking about adding some color somewhere, but yeah, maybe not.
This shit feel good to me. I've been a piece of shit for a long time, so it feels good to be on the other side of that finally.
All right.
Yeah, we get out of here. We get out of here. We gotta stay. We gotta stay. We're gonna go. We're gonna go. Let me see. Where's my phone? Is there anything else that I have to get to that's important?
I mean, what the fuck is that? What is going on with Duke?
Man, I haven't stopped the podcast or something like that because I'm walking on the bottom of my sweat. That's what we do. That's what we do.
We don't do that.
Tell our audience how much money black people waste on clothes.
Nah, you know.
Now you know. I'm sick of him.
It's so stupid.
It took 10 bars for you to turn it up.
No, what are you talking about?
Niggas waste a lot of money.
A lot of money, right? You rich if we stop, right?
Yeah, you.
Damn.
I said we.
We all.
Yeah, definitely. Yo, you fuck out of here. Who asked a dumbass telling people how much money we could save if we didn't buy clothes? I don't know.
There was
You
something.
know, really.
Damn, there was something I wanted us to argue about, but I don't remember right now. If I look back in my notes, when I wanted to start my let's fight about something segment, damn, there was something I wanted to fight with you about.
Who you want to pick a fight with?
You.
Oh,
Only you. Only me. It's only you. Watch this. See? Look. Ooh, I'm about to school him when that come out. All right, come on, let's get serious for a minute. What's Shorty's name? I don't even waste brain space remembering the white murderers' names. What's her name? Kathy?
Oh, the chick?
Yeah.
Officer, some ex.
Oh, we're not talking about her right now? Oh, let's talk about Duke.
I mean, it rolled over a week later.
Yeah, it's the same shit. Where was this at? A U.S. Army Sergeant First Class is a U.S. Army. See, I got you. A U.S. Army Sergeant First Class is currently under investigation after shocking video showed him berating and pushing a young black man he did not believe lived in their South Carolina neighborhood. Jonathan Pentland, 42, was quickly identified after the Monday video went viral showing his altercation with the young man at the lakes at Barony Place. I can't see, it's white, it's small font. A gated community in Richland County located in the Summit neighborhood. Photos show that Pentland has been a drill sergeant at Fort Jackson in South Carolina since at least 2019. Parks is making the font smaller. Fort Jackson Commanding General Brigade General Milford Beagle Jr. took to Twitter to announce that the video would be investigated. I didn't watch this video. I didn't see the video. I tell y'all, when I try to purposely stay away from things like this because I know what it's going to do to me. I know how I'm going to feel. I know how I will react.
It did to me. And normally I know it's not a good thing to say, but I'm at the point where I'm kind of jaded from a lot of this shit because I just see it so much now. But this one, like hearing that kid's voice, like his skinny ass, 120-pound boy, this big fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin looking white dude is literally making him get off the block. Yo, get away from here.
He put his hand on him?
Yeah, he did. He pushed him, hard pushes. Yeah, and then they said prior to the video being recorded, he smacked his phone out of his hand. And then the kid is like, sir, I live, like, he's trying to stay as calm as possible because he don't want this dude to turn up. Look, he's turning up.
And this is a big white dude.
Muscles on top of muscles.
Smaller black gentleman, looks younger. Also, he did push it. He put his hand on
Push it twice. Hard pushes.
I don't want to watch this video now, but shortly after I saw a vid circulating of hundreds of black people pulling up to that same block, that same location, and that same address.
We want to talk.
We want to talk to you now.
We on your block.
Come outside and
Come outside and get us out of here. I do love that about us.
I loved it.
I love seeing black people pull up for black people. Now, dude didn't come outside, did he?
No, you didn't.
I didn't see any video of that, but I did read a paragraph from somewhere saying that violence has erupted in front of dude's house, vandalism, they started throwing shit and that, and he had to be removed. Yeah, get him off the block.
Get your fucking ass.
Get you and your family to a safe place. God damn it, we outside. And that's not to incite
No,
violence.
dog, but unfortunately,
People respect violence.
The
unfortunately.
threat of it.
No, the actual violence. Like, yo, nothing's ever been done in this country that violence didn't make happen.
That's true, but when we say it's deemed as hate speech
Yeah,
and terroristic
Yeah,
threats.
yeah, yeah.
But
You
I
should have heard his wife because we're designed to
heard
losing
his
it.
wife
His
next
wife was
west.
championing it. Like, his wife was like, where do you live? And he was like, where do you live? She's like, that's none of your business.
Huh?
Fool, you just asked me where I live.
He told him there's one way out of here. Get out that way. He said that's not true. It's multiple.
It's multiple.
I'm telling you, it's one way out of here. Then they're like, where you? We're gonna walk you home. No, you're not.
And then the whole get out my face as you get in my face.
Yeah.
And he's telling him, dude, you
Search
approach me.
You are
I'm not here. I'm walking. He's like, I've never seen you around here. This is a tight community. We know each other. Like,
Evil-
you don't belong here.
Evil people in America,
Shit is trash.
this is a bad time for this. I know that this is your history and you're rooted in this type of evil. But right after we see video of a minority getting murdered for attempting to drive away, now is not the best time for us to see videos like this. And it doesn't help that we've seen at least one of these or two of these every other week since 2020.
Now see,
This reminds me of that they killed so many of us. I don't remember the stories now. Who was that went to get Skittles?
Trayvon Martin, damn.
This is the exact same situation as that. With a different
This
outcome.
is why, if you watch the video, the kid, I'm pretty sure is thinking that he's trembling, like in his voice. He's trying to stay as low speaking as possible to not incite this dude any further.
Does the white gentleman have a gun on him?
No,
What is that that's poking out by his waist paws?
yeah, you don't have to.
Got it.
He don't have a gun, but again, he's
What if you did?
Look at this kid.
He don't. That's the point. Like, that's what we
Look,
are.
look how much he pushed him. He's off his feet. With one hand. He pushed him with one hand. The boy's in the air.
He had a fight. Okay.
Okay, and again,
Anyway,
exactly.
and now we have this conversation.
That's where we are today. And you said this is not the time for evil and all of that, Joe. In their eyes,
you can't.
Sherelle
I
Johnson.
believe she's the, what was it, Phil?
Tell them, I think.
Thank you all. She says, thank you all for reaching out and helping to support DeAndre. The young black male's name is DeAndre. We did not know him, nor had we ever met him until last night. The young lady recording the video we also did not know until last night. She saw the young man in distress and knew he didn't do anything wrong, so she started videoing for his safety. Smart woman. She sent me the video last night and I got the okay to post it. I have been in contact with both D, as I call him now, to okay to post it. Yeah. To check on him and the young lady, Sade, who did the video. Both are doing okay, but still processing. Last night we all bonded because we noticed a young man in distress and he happened to be black. We waited with him until the officer arrived and we repeatedly informed the officer that D was assaulted. You all didn't see the second instance when he slapped his hand and his phone fell and cracked. The officer told us that his supervisor told him that he could only charge the white guy with malicious injury to property and not assault. I learned that. Well, the cops told me they can't charge you with assault if they didn't see the assault. That's one of those charges. They have to see it. Let me see. DeAndre was calm throughout, and he had been in that neighborhood, the lakes at Barony Place, walking plenty of times, and he lives in the Summit. This also reminds me of the young man who was jogging down the street.
Yep.
Who just happened to be murdered.
Again, so watch this.
Yep.
They said they thought he went in the house.
Well, take that. All right, take that. He's jogging, he's walking. You just say we don't belong around here. And that you're gonna see to it that we don't come around here or that we can't walk on this block. What? That's what it all is. To him, that level of control and entitlement is disgusting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Lots of people walk out there and never any trouble. Vanetta and I only wanted to get D to safety because the situation was getting out of control, and that white guy was very angry and yelling at him, overpowering him. We circled back to get him out of that situation because we refused to see D go to jail or lying there dead simply because he was black. The only thing he did, can you go back up? The only thing he did was be black while walking. Since then, the Richland County Sheriff's Department has put out a statement that says Sheriff Leon Lott will be meeting with elected officials and representatives of various organizations today to discuss the incident in the summit. He will be updating them on the investigation prior to a public release. Sheriff Lott realizes the importance of putting out correct information quickly, as there has been a lot of incorrect information distributed throughout Facebook and other social media. We want to ensure the community knows this incident has been a priority for our department. The video in itself is very disturbing and has helped tremendously in our investigation.
What's today?
More
The
information
18th.
will be provided when it becomes available. End quote. I can't speak for anyone else. Anytime they come out with all this politically correct racial jargon, I never believed one single word of it.
It's all this spoken word is triggered. That's it.
Politically correct.
Especially difficult when we cut the news on to hear about what's going on with Derek Chauvin.
All right.
And the defense attorney is up there saying that carbon monoxide may have contributed to his death.
Underlying conditions. He had heart problems. He had a drug addiction.
All right. Damn, man. Podcast took a left turn at the end of this thing. Damn, where we at? A little over 3 hours, about 3.5 hours. Okay. Yeah, it's usually right anytime I work on an environment thing, even though this environment kind of has like characters in it and stuff like that, you know. It's yeah, it takes a while to figure out what I'm doing, especially in the beginning when it comes to these environments and things like that. So yeah, man. Thanks. I want to thank you, Nardachi, for the raid and introducing me to introducing me to cool people all the time, man. Just in general. Well, Venomous Tart, thank you for getting involved and you know, with your wisdom. Yeah, life lessons do tend to stick. Trust me, I don't make no mistakes no more. You know what I mean? I'm like a one and done with the mistakes these days. And yeah, man. for everyone else, thank you for watching. I am G Mr. Drew. That is at G Mr. Drew on all social media. You can follow, like, and subscribe. I got old videos that I post on YouTube coming up every single day. I share stuff on Twitter as far as like things that I'm interested in and you know, just things that I think are cool and then anything like that. Instagram, you know, I post all the work that I do there. And what else? Yeah, if you're interested in hiring me for some work, I mean, I usually just do characters and character portraits for people, but I mean, if people like my environments or maps or anything like that, and you guys want to hire me for something, you know, you could always reach out and contact me. I have a Fiverr that, you know, G Mr. Drew on Fiverr and G Mr. Drew on Patreon that I do freelance work for both of them. You get commissions and things like that. And essentially you know, the price is basically 50 cents per square inch. I don't think that's like a rip off at all. So depending on the size that you want, that I just charge by size of the work that you want. You know, you always get the same amount of detail with me. It's just, you know, how big do you want to work? Like these pictures that I do here are 3x3, and the smallest that I offer is 4x6. So you can imagine with the 4x6 that you're going to be getting even more detail than this, because this is about 9 square inches, 4x6 is 24, so it's nearly 3 times the size of this. So you can imagine getting, you know, getting some decent detail in with the work. I never adjusted the camera. I just realized on this stream. Oh well, it worked out. It's not too bad. But yeah, what else is there? gmrdrew.art is my website. Link is in the bio. You know, but it's simple enough. gmrdrew.art. Check me out. You can look at all the work that I do. I update it, or I try to update it all the time. And yeah, you can contact me through there. Links are provided there for everything. That's kind of like the main spot. And other than that, man, you know, just thanks again for everybody for stopping by and talking and even putting up with me listening to these podcasts. You know, I never know what people want to listen to, so it's, you know, it's still just a learning curve for me, whether it's just me just chilling drawing or, you know, but every now and then I actually do have something to say and I'll say it. Sweet. I'm glad y'all can see it. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this one, man. I hopefully it looks, you know, just to give you some inside baseball. I'm working on these two areas because I always start from the lower left and work my way up to the upper right. So yeah, these working down on these areas, and hopefully these two environments that are side by side, they look like they belong on this map or in those like old ancient temple looking things, you know, that already have overgrowth and things like that going on. And hopefully they look like they belong with one another. You know, like you could see like this thing happening along with this thing. I guess the color scheme kind of helps. You know, with the purple, the blue, and the yellow orange. You know, I got those split complementary color going on. But other than that, man, y'all stay blessed. I love y'all. Thank you for being here. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this stream. Y'all take care. I'll be back. Peace.